Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to join us as we're talking aliens, UFOs, ET contact, alien abduction, extraterrestrials, and everything in between with R Keith Andrews and the ET connection tonight. I got to tell you, Keith's pork chops are looking on par for tonight. We got Dirty Filth with the cartoon of the night as well. And now we say hello to all of you in the chat room tonight. Logan L. with his first gold medal tonight. Congratulations, Logan. Nightmare taking home the silver. Race fan with the bronze medal. Yeah. Hi, Rui from Portugal. How you doing? Evan Walters, good to see you. Awesome Ann B. Lisa C. Fab 22. Kathy Evans. Dutch Hank. One of our favorite veterans who listens to this show, Black Dragon. Yeah, the former Marine. Thank you so much for your service. We really do appreciate it. All veterans always have a safe home here at Spaced Out Radio. Brown Dwarf, good to see you. Crystal Jackson is here. Crystal will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. To the left of the studio. Since this is her first time, she asks that you do not make eye contact when coming up for an autograph. All right, moving on. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, what color bandana do you have on tonight? Let us know. Glenn Dennison, the awesome cat chaser, thank you for joining us. And here we got Sugar Britches. Good to see you. That Mac Geek, how are you, man? Good to have you here. T2E is here. T2E will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio. To the right of the studio. Hi, Jules. Jim Christie, Millennium. Good to have you all here. Vinman, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you back, bud. I always love it when you're here. All right, let's move on. Where are we here? Oh, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has officially arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hey, Marty Burback, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. Super Duke, Super Duke, Super Duke, Super Duke. Doc from Wyoming. Caroline Start, how are you? Let's Go Gaming Guild, how are you? Good to have you here, 416. And who else is here? Let's take a little look-see. Holly, how you doing? Willamette Valley Cryptids, thank you for coming on in. And Steph Dickey, nice to have you back after a few nights off. Let's see who else is here. W. David Page, nice to see you. And Dirty Filth, good to have you here. And Mr. Lurks a lot, thank you for joining us. And let's continue on. Ozzy Ange. And, oh, there he is. It's little Timmy Senor, a.k.a. Anonymous Rex. Mark Sanchez, good to see you. And who else is joining us here? And let's see here. Oh, Cat Chaser, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much for your love, Cat Chaser. Let's get the radio side started while we're here. And who else we have? 405er, nice to have you here. Michael Fontaine, thanks for joining us. So we continue on with roll call. And there's Addie Overbay. Welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. Nate Foot, 2 nights in a row. That's bench pressing huge there. Teresa, I did get your message. I do have something to send you. So, yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. All right, continuing on here. There's Von Patrick and Chris. Teen, good to see you. YJ Overlander. And how you doing, YJ? Good to have you back, buddy. Awesome Man Palmer, good to see you. Broken Karma, welcome to SOR chat. First time, we're going to put you up on the board here. There we go. You're up on the board. I never comment, but I want to hear my name. Broken Karma. Rafin, how you doing? Hey, there's number 16 in your program, starting on defense from Luleå, Sweden, Lars Jansson. And I think we're caught up. Michelle Labigan, thank you for coming on in. Here we go. We got like 10 seconds. Paradigm Theories, how are you? Nice to see you. And let's have some fun tonight. R. Keith, get your questions in early. We're going to get it going right now. Hi, gorgeous Kira. Here we go. Horns up. Of Central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting at the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Monthly guest, R Keith Andrews, is here, hanging out and just doing his thing called the ET Connection. We love it when R Keith is here because he really is the true captain of the Woo Train. Then in hour number 3, we are going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey as well. Tim Senor is going to be here for the UFO report. That's going to be a good one as well. We'll get Shirky Poo's news again as well. All right, let's get right to it. Our good friend R. Keith Andrews is back with the ET Connection, where Keith comes in near the beginning of each month to tell us about everything strange and extraterrestrial. And having some of the best pork chop sideburns that you will ever see, Keith is very respected around here and around the world for his knowledge with extraterrestrial contact. He has a book that you can find on Amazon, and he is an author that's published. He helps counsel those who have had their own ET experiences. And by gosh, he's just an honest, good guy. R. Keith Andrews, welcome back to SOR. How you doing, buddy?
I'm still trying to keep ahead of things. So overall, not doing bad. Really happy to be here, though.
Well, that's good.
You know,
we kind of when you're here too.
Yeah, I was thinking about it just today. I mentioned it to you. It's hard to believe that we've got to be pushing 90 we got to be pushing 90 shows now.
Very close. Very close. You and I have been doing this for over 7 years. 7 years. You know, and I appreciate that, but it's funny because when you look at it that it's been that long, man, there isn't very many subjects that we haven't talked about in regards to ET contact. So.
Yeah, I don't think there's been much we haven't hit on. And some of them have gone, shall we say, a little different.
Well, I think the favorite from the audience is that time you said you've actually eaten aliens. And I know that makes you uncomfortable and everything like that, but that was one of the best ones. That's one of the most memorable, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, realistically, it's still meat. You know, I mean, fortunately, from their standpoint, they do have courtesy to make sure it isn't still live feed, because that one, no, I haven't done.
Oh, wow.
Closest
Well,
I've done to that is accidentally ended up with a gnat in my mouth. I don't like those either.
No, that they don't taste very good. They do not taste very good. Let me ask you, Keith, when's the last time you got taken?
About 3 days ago. Maybe
What
4.
happened?
I'm having a lot of fun with the last couple of days as far as timing goes. I got told very emphatically that this idea of trying to fit the way my brain works into a way that other people can comprehend it is just not going to work well. And it's causing way too many complications.
How come?
Well, if you think about it this way, most people, from a physiological standpoint, you've got the right and left hemisphere, which is connected through the hypothalamus and the hippocampus. But at 20 months old, I had all of that wiped out with a fever, which means ultimately I end up looking at the positive, the negative, and the neutral all at the same time, which makes it a little complicated trying to explain to people why, or more to the point, how I can look forward to something and still dread its arrival without any shift in thinking. Are you having troubles with broadcast line?
Am I?
Yeah, because the YouTube channel, the feed on it keeps cutting out.
Yeah, so apparently cable guy Matt, who was out at my house yesterday, he was testing our cable to our internet because for the last few weeks we've been noticing these cutouts, and apparently there's a cable or an internet problem on my street, and it's on my street only. And so I do have a patch cord to strengthen the feed, but it's not going to be fixed until next week. So we got to battle through here and just continue on here.
It's kind of like me, my heart shorts out, I drop dead, I get up and carry on. It's just a minor inconvenience.
It happens. It happens. What are you supposed to do?
Work with it.
Absolutely. So, well, Keith, for you as an experiencer, and we got a lot of new listeners that are always listening to us on a nightly basis, being a self-subscribed experiencer of the phenomena since childhood to where you are today, without getting into your full story, because we've heard that numerous times, it's a life that not many people understand or know. For you, it's all you know.
Yeah, you're right. It's the only thing I know. What people call weird. I like the way Wednesday put it in the Addams Family values. Or no, my apologies. The kid in Beetlejuice, where the ghost asked her why she wasn't afraid. And she goes, well, people are afraid of the weird and the unusual. She goes, I myself am the weird and unusual. I have the same problem. To me, this is just a normal run-of-the-mill thing. And, my son's gotten to the point where, I'll go outside for a moment, I'll look up, and he'll come out, and he'll go, we got company, Dad. You being taken? I says, yep. Right. And the next morning, it's like he'll ask me how things went. This is just a normal routine in my house.
Well, let's talk about that for a quick second here, because how much recall do you have, Keith, when you get taken? For the majority of us who have been taken, we don't get a lot of recall as to what happened. We get little movie snippets, like maybe 10, 20 seconds worth. If we're lucky, a couple minutes. How much recall do you get?
On a given night, and bear in mind, my memory for day-to-day normal stuff is sketchy, but it holds about the same way. I'll pull an hour and a half, 2-hour memory out of the deal. I won't necessarily remember the return. That happens now and then, especially when they miss the bed. But most of the time, I'll remember most of the time up there and the people I'm dealing with. You know, when I talk about having friends in high places, I mean literally I've got friends in high places. And I'm not talking governmental seats.
No, I understand that. So how many different species are taking you?
It's usually down to the consortium itself now. Every once in a while I'll end up with a, if you will, an emergency call. So I might be dealing with a couple of dozen that swap on and off. Right, but we're not talking about I'll get, a dozen this week. That might be over a course of 3 or 4 months. Right. Because it depends on what they're dealing with.
Okay. What do you mean by it depends what they're dealing with?
Well, I don't deal with border disputes. Okay. But helping people understand, I call all of them people, helping them understand the difference between their cultures and why how they can get around the problem so they can find common ground. That's where I work. Okay. So it depends on literally, are they dealing with somebody's making claims that they're treating other people in a very, shall we say, non-consortium fashion, and they're just trying to avoid escalating it to the real problem. Right? I'll simply go in and help them understand where each other are. I don't make the final decisions for these people. That's up to them. It's the same as with humans. When humans hand me a problem, I'll go, here's the path you've got to look at. Here's what you may be overlooking. This is the best way to deal with it. Now it's up to you to decide what you're going to do. For me, it really boils down, to an issue of, regardless of what they look like, what color they are, doesn't matter what their diet is or how they raise their kids, as long as they still follow the same. For them, they've got to follow consortium law. When they're bringing me in, they've got to realize that I only follow 3 laws, right? And they apply to all of the consortium laws anyway, so it kind of works out well. I only have to remember 3.
All right, let's get to some audience questions here, if you don't mind.
Start
off with the Raz. Dave Chris Mellon said it, technology personnel are going to come out. Yeah, Keith, I'm going to rephrase this because one thing about Keith is he doesn't follow the news. He doesn't follow the names or anything in ufology. He's very individualistic this way. Keith, we're starting to see a lot more big name people in ufology slowly but surely coming out talking about their own experiences. These are people who at one point wouldn't talk experiences. They wouldn't, delve into the experiential fact, but now they're coming out. Do you see this happening more? And is it good for ufology, or do you think it's part of a narrative?
Do I see it happening more? Yeah, absolutely I do. Is it good for ufology? It depends on what they're coming out with. I do feel that a lot of it is orchestrated. Okay. Because I'm still seeing with way too many people, they're still focusing on this issue of the aliens are here to invade us. Now, it brought to mind something I saw just recently. I was watching a show, and Ronald Reagan made a comment way back, and don't ask me how long ago that was, but way back, that maybe what we need is an alien invasion to unify the planet. Okay. And it looks, quite frankly, to me, looks a lot like people are trying to actually focus on that. These things are aggressive. They're trying to wipe us out. And it seems like they're trying to use that to unify the planet, which, by the way, won't work for a lot of reasons. But yeah, I do feel a lot of it is a narrative. Am I going to call anyone in particular? No.
Okay, so what do you think the narrative is about?
In a nutshell, we're going to disclose the fact of aliens, but we're going to do it in this fashion so that you think what we're telling you is the reality. Okay, most of the narrative seems to be, bluntly put, a smokescreen. Ultimately, do I feel that there have been agreements made? Certainly. But it's not just one country. Okay, it's various different races that have made agreements, but the reality is, from everything I've been told from upstairs, none of them are turning over weaponry, or they're not. What they're focusing on at this point is communication skills, but limited communication skills. And the reason they're limited is because they work with biomagnetic flux holographic interfaces. We still deal with video relay.
Right.
This pretty much tells you they're way ahead of the game. It's kind of like we're still dealing with rocket fuel. They're dealing with an OTE drive.
Got you.
But when you're teaching somebody to drive, you don't give them a Maserati.
Let me ask you this. Before we move on to more audience questions, one of the big topics that is going around the UFO world is about crash retrievals. Okay. And these crash retrievals, they're allegedly teams that are out there that are going to find these, track these crash retrievals down. What is happening with these UFO craft that they are crashing here?
You mean as in are humans picking them up, or are the off-worlders coming back and getting them?
What is causing their craft to crash here on Earth? I mean, they've just traveled 21 billion light years to get here. What, they run out of fuel? Are they letting the kids drive? Are they letting
hard to run out of fuel? But quite often, yes, because you're dealing with there's something about the atmosphere on Earth that is non-existent on the rest of the planets. And that is a neural net that has a direct impact on their navigational systems and can have a polarizing impact on their drives. This is one of the reasons why the off-worlders are actually worried about mankind. Not because mankind is highly aggressive, because according to them, mankind has no clue how to have a war. They have no idea at all. But mankind does have the instinctive capacity to work with what even humans call zero-point energy. The ability to modify reality in such a way that it impacts on the physical environment. Thankfully, most humans don't know how to do that yet.
Right. Okay. So the idea that their craft are crashing here, does it have something to do with the radar, the technology, sunspots? Maybe they're hitting satellites coming in and damaging their craft. What is causing it?
Literally, the bio network between humans, as the conflict that is growing here, is creating an impasse in the atmospheric fields. We are not talking a technological problem. We're talking about a biological one. Think of it this way. Sunspots, most people look at sunspots and go, that's creating a solar flare and that's interfering with the transmission of communication lines. When you're talking about a biokinetic field, you're talking about something that cuts through technology like a hot knife through butter and will short out even their electronic relays. The only ship that is essentially immune to it would be the Corlock ships, because they don't run on the same, they run on bioelectrics that they themselves are generating. The rest of the races are running on one form or another of technology. Now, why do I have something telling me?
Gotcha. All right. So, Keith, let's get to another audience question here. This one comes from, let's see, YJ. Keith, are you actually aware how much this family audience loves you, man?
Much as I appreciate it, in all fairness, no. Quite honestly, to me, there is nothing really that bizarre or that special about the way I do things. I do appreciate being told, but does it feel like it's that big of an issue? For me, it really doesn't. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy being here. And I do my best to show up on a monthly basis. And fortunately, Dave's been kind enough to work around the mess.
Hey, with sideburns like that, I could never let this go. And yes, you are very loved around here, Keith, and very well respected. And your honesty and integrity is second to none, man. And that's why we love you. You're just a good human, very good human. I agree with YJ 100%. That's why we keep it going.
I do appreciate that.
Hey, if Dirty Filth loves you, we all love you, as he paints away here and gives a thumbs up. Let's go to another question here from Raz. Should we start looking for ways to mate with these non-humans?
I got an even better idea. How about if we look at ways to simply accept the fact that the other humans on the planet already are equal in nature? People keep looking off-world to solve the problem. The problem that has to be solved here first is people's ability to interact and accept each other. So, you can look for a way to mate with them, but quite frankly, they've already got it figured out. Humans have been trying to mate with non-humans for years, and we could go into a really, really twisted conversation there, and we're just not a good idea.
Hey, people want to know. Some people have fantasies, Keith. You can't take that away from them.
Well, I'm certainly not going into the mechanics of it, but humans call it bestiality.
Oh.
Exactly my point. Like I said, people can figure it out, but the off-worlders have already figured out most of it.
I love it. Love it. Let's continue on with another question here. Keith will sneak it in as we got about 1 minute left. Let's go to Millennium. R. Keith, what's the latest gossip from your off-world contacts?
They're wondering when humans are actually going to figure out that when they cure the bigger problem, the rest of these little things will go away. Not the least of which is the fact that people have to realize technology is not the backbone of communication. Even on their worlds, communication is done face to face. Okay, sometimes it can get a little dicey, but it is still something that humans are getting further and further away from. And the one thing that I get asked a lot is, how are humans going to function if all of a sudden there were a massive EMP pulse? Because right now, since the early 1980s, most of the information, most of the technological advances are simply on the computer.
All right, Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We'll continue with audience questions with R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection here on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We will be back right after these words, so stay tuned. The Woo Train continues after this. Steam Train Mark in Australia wants to know, Keith, how big is your coffee cup?
About 3.5 cups. Let me, another way to look at it is I can take 2 cans of Campbell's chicken noodle soup and pour them into that cup and still have a little bit of room left over.
Nice.
I thought it was a good size. I don't have to get up half as often. But I'm also one of the few people I know of that the nutritionist said, carry on drinking as much coffee as you want. It's good for you. Because I drink my coffee very weak. If you think about it, the average person on a 10 to 12 cup pot will put 4 tablespoons of coffee into it. I put 1 in. Which, according to the nutritionist, means I'm getting enough flavor in it to drink the water I require. Yeah, the tar that they sell at Starbucks, I won't even consider buying. I mean, don't get me wrong. Apparently, it's good for a lot of people.
Excellent. All right. Hi, Grand Alexander. Love V Love wants to know, does your coffee cup keep your coffee hot for a long time?
Because of the size of the hole in the top, if I put the lid on, it'll keep my coffee comfortably warm for about an hour and a half. If I take the lid off, I get about 20 minutes before it starts to really cool down. But usually it doesn't last me 20 minutes, so I don't have a big problem with it.
Evan says, why don't you skip the middleman and just drink it straight from the pot?
I don't like the grounds. I also don't like burning my lips on the glass.
I get you. We got about 2.5 minutes, bud.
Yeah, on the plus side, it means when I buy a kilo of coffee, right, it'll last me a good month, maybe longer, depending.
Keith is still drinking those orange canisters of Sanka instant coffee that he's had stored in his closet since 1978.
That's a cute thought, but I wouldn't drink voluntarily Sanka coffee when it was fresh. Never mind. Like, instant coffee and I just don't get along well. But thank you. Sorry, usually it's Folgers or Maxwell House, depending on which one's on sale at the time.
Oh, hold on. Let's get to a cheap shot here from Dijon. Who are your 2 radio listeners who listen to 6 minutes of commercials? So thank you for the cheap shot, Dijon. Appreciate it. We have 6 radio stations that carry this show live that we have to time out, for. So we have about, let's say, 50, 60,000 people who tune us in on those stations. And yeah, we have to time everything out. So I'm not too worried about your opinion, Dijon, because obviously it doesn't take a trained thought to try and troll and give a cheap shot for a random question like that. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to hang out. You used to be cool. Not sure what happened. Maybe you were drinking too much Aqua Velva from Granddad's cough syrup medicine cabinet again. Not sure. But yeah, that's the reason. We have 6 radio stations that we have to commit to as well. So it's an all-round show. So thank you for the cheap shot. Very much appreciated. Enjoy your night and hang out. Enjoy the woo, man. I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah, it is. And a whole lot more polite than I would have been.
Yeah.
But then we had that problem that you had to bail me out after somebody asked me the wrong question.
Yeah. Hi, Hilton. How you doing, man? And let's see here. Donnie, Vaughn, Thomas, and Cat Chaser, thank you for the awesome super chats. Hi, Invisible Tracker. Good to see you. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hello there, Huckleberry Charles. Good to have you back. Here we go with the second half hour, everybody. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok. You on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection tonight, taking audience questions live from our YouTube chat and wherever they are around the world. Keith, welcome back, my fellow ET experiencer.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Welcome back to everybody that's coming back to join us.
Longtime listener, Broken Karma, first time in the chat room, says, Keith, do you only get taken when you're asleep?
Oh, no, I can get taken in broad daylight with company. Makes for an interesting conversation after the fact. But, yeah, I've been taken day, night, awake, asleep. It doesn't seem to matter. It depends on what the problem is. And the time that they decide to come and collect me up.
Okay, so I know you can't plan it, or they're not, sending you a text message or an email saying, hey, Keith, we're going to be here at 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, and we're going to be taking you onto our ship. So right. I'm wondering how do they choose whether or not to take you day or night? And
I
daytime.
would love to give you an answer to that one. I really have never figured that one out. I mean, I remember one day I was actually with somebody at the time, and it was daytime. We were actually traveling, and we were traveling along, and all of a sudden we were not here. We were up there, and I do mean we. Well, they put us back in, got the car up to speed. So, of course, we come back in. Well, a little disoriented, pull over and get your bearings. Right. And we had been taken when we watched the clock catch up. Because when they took us, the electronic clock in the car stopped. Or more to the point, paused. And then reset itself when we got dropped back in. But I have no idea how these guys end up picking, how they pick their timing. So, there are days when I know it's going to happen. I can just feel the shift. Right.
Okay, let's talk about that. Time out. Let's talk about that here. How do you know when it's going to happen?
Well, the simple answer is I can feel a shift in the biomagnetic field. And I know how to read, and I understand how to read what that is pertaining to. And yeah, I realize that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Basically, the field around Earth is a certain frequency. And when they have the intention of coming down, it will shift the frequency. Net result, I can pick it up. Now, I'm not the only one that picks these things up. Okay, there are other people that sense the same shifts. They just may not know what they are, or maybe they do. I don't know. But in a nutshell, that's how I do it.
Okay, because I know with me, I used to, and it hasn't happened in a long time, but when I knew they were coming days before, I would start hearing little triggers like Pink Floyd's Is there anybody out there? Terribly sung, I know, but that's what I would get. Is there anybody out there? And I couldn't stop the song in my head. That's how I knew. Nowadays, I don't hear the song. It just happens. Samantha Mowat, winter, summer, spring, fall, she sees blue butterflies when she knows she's about to go.
Yeah, for me, it's like this is the only thing I've ever known. So it's not like, it's not like I actually require, if you will, a physical reinforcement. I think that's the easiest way to put it. Some people, when it comes to remembering names, require some sort of memory trigger or a bit of a reminder sort of thing, like a relationship thing to remember names. It's the same issue with being taken. Once you've been taken often enough, it just becomes a normal. You just go with it. It's just the normal way to run.
I like Donnie's comment in the chat room. I've been abducted exactly 0 times. Makes me feel like the ugly girl at the prom, if I'm to be honest. Donnie, you're handsome. You're a handsome dude. Okay, one day, just keep putting that love out there, and you will get aliens. The key is Van Halen's Love Walks In. Follow Van Halen's Love Walks In, and you will be able to get your free ride up into space.
I was thinking you were going to go with Stairway to Heaven.
No, too obvious. Too obvious. All right, let's get to another question here because they are starting to pick up here. Let's go to Love v. Love. What are the 3 laws you abide by, Keith?
Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Each one is as important as the next, kind of like the 3 legs on a 3-legged stool. But if you find a law that doesn't fit inside those 3, please let me know, because I'm still looking for one. I've yet to find one. But those are the karmic laws. They apply to everybody.
All right, let's go to another question here. Let's go to Marty. Keith, when did the moon get placed in Earth's orbit?
Before Earth was actually completed. It was put in there as a stabilizer. Some people call it a natural. It's sort of a combination of placed in place and a natural phenomenon. But it is part of a stabilization procedure. It's not something that somebody brought in after Earth was up and running and civilization evolved. Even the earlier civilizations. See, they needed the Earth in orbit in order to stabilize the growth of the atmosphere, to thereby support life. Bearing in mind they were aiming at carbon-based life for the most part. So, given the Earth is, roughly speaking, by human carbon dating, roughly speaking, 5.6 billion years old, you're likely looking at about just shy of 5.6 billion. Which of course sort of brings to mind the question of just exactly what kind of impact humans are going to have on the whole 9 yards when they manage to get the asteroid into geosynchronous orbit around the moon.
Another question here. R. Keith, can you fill us in on humanoids? This one's from Jenny.
Well, number one, we have to realize that humanoids are simply that humans call them humanoids because they've got 2 legs, 2 arms. Usually they have binocular vision. Okay, so they essentially have the same general configuration of a human. and that covers such a massive array of different races. Okay, it's amazing how it usually is the humanoid races that come to Earth. Of course, I think the reason for that is because being of the same physiological configuration, they can relate to it a lot better than like the Udina. Okay, the Udina are a septipod, and they do not operate the same way as humans do. Same as the Korlocks, they're a complete metamorph. But humanoids simply are, they appear in overall skeletal configuration. They appear as to look similar in configuration to human. I think that's the best way to put it.
All right, let's continue on here with more audience questions. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection are continuing here on the show. Let's go to Michael Fontaine, who is asking, Keith, why do you keep touching your right ear?
Well, there's two reasons for it. One, I can hear a whole lot, and second of all, I've got an issue up here. Well, that's actually my left one, but in the back of with the left one is the one that I had implanted years ago. The right one, every now and again, I'll get a ring in it, and if I push in at that little divot at the bottom of it, I can kill the ring.
Well, that makes good sense right there. Good sense right there. Let's go to.
I don't sit still well.
Let's go to Crystal here. Keith, do you experience a lot of missing time? Do you think you remember every time you were taken?
Oh, heck, I don't even remember every time I walked into the front living room. But yeah, I lose an awful lot of time. Okay, and no, I'm absolutely certain I don't remember every time I'm taken. But like I said, I can be going through a day and forget half of what I did during the day in what you would call the real world. So I just don't put a whole lot of weight to it.
All right, let's continue on here with the Mac Geek. How do the aliens, locate you on Earth? Is there a tracking device implanted on you, Keith, like some experiencers have?
In a nutshell, biomagnetic electric flux modulation. Every entity on Earth, or for that matter, every entity in existence, has a different biofield. And they simply track it. And of course, the fact that I don't bother modifying it to stop them from being able to find it probably has something to do with the fact they don't have a problem with it. But in a nutshell, that's how they do it.
Okay, let's get to another one here. This one comes from One Hot Tamale. I finally got your name. I was like, One Hot Tamale? I finally got it. One Hot Tamale. There we go. And she is asking, Keith, do you have a favorite alien abduction experience? If so, can you talk about it?
I think one of the ones that I had the most fun with, personally, was I was actually called up. They had the Strazazian. The Strazazians had a pair of their battleships, okay, that had got caught in a black hole drift. Okay. And they had called one of their, and it wasn't even their commander that came down, that came and collected me, so much as one of the mates of one of the people on the ship. So I ended up being called in, and of course the council looked at me and went, "Why are you here?" I said, "Well, I'm here." Now bear in mind, Strazazians have this thing about respect and very much honor of a military form. Okay, and they asked why I was here. I says, well, I was told that you have 2 ships that are caught in a black hole drift. And they went, yes, we do. I says, well, I was asked to find out why you're not and why you don't seem to be doing anything. Well, they're caught in a black hole drift, so unfortunately, it's part of the drawback, part of the risk. And I says, well, why not go in and get them? It's actually quite a simple little issue. Right. Okay. And I looked at the commander and told him point blank, well, if you're too much of a coward to go in and get your own people, I'll go and deal with it. All it really boiled down to was connecting the 2 ships together at right angles and creating a magnetic field, on a thruster magnetic field, to break the pull, which isn't really as hard as you might think.
Let's go to Donnie. What is it about humans do aliens find the most alien? Are there any idiosyncrasies about us that have them scratching their heads?
Absolutely. Humans' capacity to take a perfectly logical situation, go on a completely illogical response, and still land on their feet as a result. You know, and the off-worlders on the whole are looking at this going, how did you even come up with that idea? Like, it just doesn't add up for them. And when you couple that with mankind's almost insatiable curiosity, you know, the old comment, what does this button do? Mm-hmm. When you couple those 2 things together, it makes humans a very fascinating and very dangerous race. You know, aliens are not, they're not that different from humans, really. But humans have, you know, they've got better toys. Humans just frankly don't realize what humans are still hanging on to, which confuses the daylights out of most of these people.
All right. Let's get to another question. Go to Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll always hit a home run for you and the fans and the children that he'll sign autographs for. And he is asking, R. Keith, what is your vision statement?
In a nutshell, the one I work with is the future is the present. Whoa, try that again. The future is our business. The present is your life. Okay, that is how I operate. Okay, and that is, especially when I'm working in the consulting fields, that's the thing I work with. Ultimately, what I'm looking for is a way to help people understand that working together, we can make this a better world. But it's going to take everybody working. Again, I don't mean 100%, because there are going to be people that are not going to get the message. They're just going to go, no, I like the way the world is because I'm at the top. Problem is, the people at the top are missing what's going on at the bottom.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Huckleberry Charles. Keith, do you ever feel or do you feel or hear a lot of this every day?
Pretty much. To me, what we're doing here, this to me is a normal life. Okay, the only difference is when I'm on the show with you, I sit in one place. I don't sit still, in case you hadn't noticed. But yeah, this is just plain normal.
Unless you're playing Call of Duty. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest, I don't play Call of Duty. You know?
You play something.
I do. Dungeons and Dragons. I used to play Skyrim, but I can't track the computer the way the computers work. I can't track the changes fast enough. And I certainly can't get my hands to work right.
All right, let's continue on here. Raz is asking, do we have to return if we get taken?
Apparently, because I keep getting sent back. And God knows I keep asking them, just don't bother anymore. Thanks very much. But yeah, they have from their standpoint, they pick you up. They're allowed to do, according to the consortium, they can absolutely do their tests, do their fluid samples and what have you. But they must do their level best to put you back where they left you, where they picked you up from, and leave as little of an impact as they can get away with.
Excellent. Excellent. Let us continue on here, Keith, as we got about 3.5 minutes. Let's go to Hilton. Have you ever tried to hide, Keith, or is it a pointless exercise?
Well, considering that, yeah, the short answer is it's very much a pointless exercise. Okay. You can alter your biofield, but it doesn't work as well as you might think. Because sometimes it's not what you see that tells you what's there, as what you don't see. In other words, like even if you're looking at the sky and you're looking for UFOs, instead of just looking for the ship or the lights, take a look at the star patterns, and you'll find sometimes you'll watch the stars, and a star will blink out of existence, and then a moment later it'll blink back in, and they'll do this in sequence. What you're watching is a ship go across the sky in front of you, blocking out the stars. Okay, and the same thing when you're striving to draw, and I'm pretty certain any artist realizes this. Sometimes as you draw the situation or draw the picture you're looking at, you're using what they call dead space or empty space to give you the picture. It's the same concept. So trying to hide, yeah, it's pretty much pointless.
All right, new question. Adam is wondering, have they, the aliens, offered you, Keith, gemstones as compensation or any other type of compensation?
Compensation for me has been more the information. Okay, I mean, people have tried offering me, and when I say people, I mean all kinds of different people. I just don't see money the way other people do. You can't take it with you anyway.
Oh, it's fun. Money is
fun.
fun.
I have no doubt it's here. There was a chap that told me one day, money will not buy you happiness, but it does afford you the opportunity to look for it in a lot more places.
I so disagree with that statement. I do. Because I can tell you, the days when I had money before my kids figured out that I was a bankroll, I was the happiest of my life. And then the woo came and took it all away.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Look at it this way. When people find out that the material world doesn't actually, that's not what brings you happiness. That is what will bring an illusion of happiness quite readily. And don't get me wrong, I am far more relaxed when my bills are all up to date and I've got food in my house. Okay. I do like the finer things in life. The fact I don't have them is beside the point.
I hear you quickly here. Actually, we'll get to Donnie's question when we return from the break because I want to make sure he gets a fair answer. Keith, we got some great questions coming up for you tonight on Spaced Out Radio's R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We will continue after the break here. Oh, of course, it's always going to be about aliens. It's always going to be about contact. It's always going to be a fast ride on the Woo train right here with R Keith Andrews. And we appreciate Keith coming in once a month for the ET Connection. You can find his books on Amazon. And we'll be back with more R Keith Andrews when we return. All right, we're clear, Keith. Let's see what the the dirty one is doing right now?
Well, it looks like Skunk Ape decided he was going to try the Moose Juice shampoo.
Be right back.
So he's looking pretty good now.
Well, there you go. Well, that's like
Just
a
gotta give
nice.
him his top hat and his tie.
Well, if you're going to give him a top hat and tie, you got to have a cane sitting around there somewhere to complete the the picture.
Ooh. There it is right there. Whoop.
Oh yeah. Well, don't mind me. My eyes don't work well half the time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You didn't do it. Trailer hitch to the eye did that when I was in between 7 and 8, grade 7 and 8.
Yeah, that'll probably do you in pretty good.
Yeah.
Critical strike right to the eyeball.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I got hit by a car once. I don't remember it, but that's what the ambulance guys told me.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I only every time I got hit by a car, I was on a motorcycle.
Ooh. Yeah.
I don't ride motorcycle anymore.
I seen some guy riding a motorbike the other day coming home from work, and he had like flip-flops, short shorts, and a t-shirt. I was like, wow, I don't think your helmet's going to help you too much when all your limbs are ripped off and you're just
Honestly,
a torso bobbing around.
I always question that. You know, when I used to ride, I was wearing a helmet, and I had a bumblebee hit me in the right between the helmet and the hat. Dang near broke my neck because it went in between the helmet and the head, and the speed it had spun me halfway around on my seat. The fact I didn't dump the bike was anybody's guess as how I pulled that one off.
I had a friend that used to ride motorbikes, and he doesn't anymore because a grasshopper jumped into his chops or into his face, hit him in the eyeball, and he had a detached retina.
Yep, that would do it. That's why I've always held. Goggles should be mandatory. A helmet, not so much so. But that's my personal
And they're
opinion.
stylish.
Well, you know, I'm a fashion statement. I told somebody that one day. They were complaining about the way I was dressed. We were in grocery line. I said, look, it's not like I'm a fashion statement. The girl right behind me looks at me and goes, you are so. Not a good one, but you are one. You know? I had to compliment her on the speed of the comeback.
Did you know the person that with the witty comeback?
Not a clue.
Nice.
That
always makes it
never
nice.
seen her again since then.
She's probably telling that story right now. Her ears are ringing.
I mean, it's, you know, you have little things like that. Of course, there's a t-shirt I like that says, you know that thing in your head that most people have that says, I shouldn't say that right now? Yeah, I don't have one of those.
No filter.
I got a filter. I use it for my coffee.
Oh, man. Watching you drink that huge mug of coffee, my guts are just dying. I can't handle coffee. I can ingest all the hot peppers in the universe and pickle juice and 16,000 vodkas or something, but like coffee, no, my guts just yeah.
Well, that's what I mean by my coffee is only a quarter strength what the average person's coffee cup is. Right. Because most people will put 4 tablespoons into a 12-cup pot. Right. I put 1 into a 12-cup pot.
That's reasonable. I could probably handle that. Maybe it's just the way that people make tea that I drink it around, because I never make it myself, or coffee rather.
Probably.
It's not important.
You know, I mean, the reality is coffee itself does have acid in it. And if you're drinking it, you know, it's adding to that little problem.
Let me say hello here to G. And who else has come on in here? Nicholas Shaughnessy. How you doing, buddy? And I know Grantavius Maximus is listening on in. How's that mustache? Thank you to Doug Shelby, the Doug Shelby, along with Ozzy and a couple of hat tricks from Donnie and Jeff, Vaughn, Thomas, and Cat Chaser for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears, and thank you for the love and support that you show this show. We very much appreciate it. Let's see, who else is joining us here? Terry Hall's looking bang up awesome tonight. Nikki in Seattle, nice to see you. And I'm getting questions marked up here too, guys. So who else do we have here that's hopped on in? Pine Island Research, nice to see you. Hi Dirt Road. Hi Gloria from GNA. And we are caught up. Wonderful. Don't forget, guys, if you could, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and then after the show, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and leave a comment after the show, just so we can get your reaction to what's going on. It really helps with our YouTube algorithm, so we'd really appreciate it. And, we're on here in like 20 seconds. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, hanging on out with all of you. And apparently the store is being worked on as we speak by little Benny Jenkins. And Dirty Filth, I'm going to mute you because you're getting loud. And I know that when you start getting loud, that a burp or something is going to come out. Here we go, everyone, with the second hour.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Let's take a little peeky poo here. Where's the Clam? Well, it is balneology. Balneology is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as a Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. The man, the myth, and the Wu Train legend is back for the ET Connection. R Keith Andrews is here taking your questions on all things extraterrestrial. Yeah, sometimes it's weird, sometimes it's strange, but the one thing about Keith, it's always entertaining. Keith's website is rkeithandrews.com. You can find his books on Amazon. Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me, and welcome to everybody still with us and those joining us.
All right, let's start with Donnie here. Keith, how does Earth's cuisine compare to other alien races' foods? In an intergalactic cook-off, I think we could win with pizza.
Win, debatable. However, is it something that is actually an enjoyable addition to what they work with? Yeah, they have their own variations. The nice thing about pizza is you can have incredible variations. You know, would you win? That would depend entirely on who the judge was. And, of course, what the toppings were.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. And let's go to Pure Aussie Gold. Are aliens interplanetary or interdimensional?
Oh, definitively interplanetary. They are often intervibrational, but everything you ever witness on Earth is of the third dimension. The thing is, if you vibrate something fast enough, it can pass through a solid object and look like it's coming from another dimension altogether. But all it really is a shift in vibrational rate.
All right. Doug Shelby, the Doug Shelby, is asking, Keith, you're sort of like an interstellar coach and mentor to us. It's not a bad thing to be admired, brother. But here's the question. Did humans have help building the pyramids?
Only from a directorial standpoint. Okay. But the pyramids themselves were built, from everything I've ever uncovered, they were built by humans. They just didn't use what mankind called modern tech. A lot of their work was done on a much higher level, but it was still done by humans. At least from everything I've ever found out.
Okay, let's go to another question here. This one from Sven. Sven Eric, a new subscriber to our YouTube channel tonight. So, hi, Sven. Thank you very much, from Sweden. And he's asking, have the aliens told you anything important that we should know?
Well, that depends entirely on your definition of important. There's a lot of things that I've been told and have had, essentially, in my eyes, proven to me, but most of them would create so much controversy on this show as to create bedlam. Let me put it this way. This would refer to the way that politics, education, parenting, and religion is handled on this planet is completely backwards. And that's just the start of it.
Why?
Did you say why?
Yeah.
Well, number one, you start off right at the get-go, and the children, I like the way it was phrased one day. Parents aren't raising kids, they're raising adults. But right from the get-go, kids are taught to fear everything. And they're being punished for not doing exactly what they're told, instead of being rewarded for the breakthroughs they're making. And instead of being told, yes, that's a different person, but there are similarities that can be worked with. You start there. Okay, then you look, that's the easy place to start. And it goes downhill from there.
All right, let's move on to another question here. And let's go to Kim. What does energy out, energy in mean?
Whatever you put the effort into. If you're working towards building a deck of car, building a card house, you put the effort into it, it stacks the deck in favor of you actually completing that build and that project. This idea that we're taught that thinking is as good as doing doesn't hold water. It really boils down to, if you desire people to be honest with you, be honest with them. Doesn't guarantee people will be honest, but it does stack the deck in your favor. This is why I say, when you desire to get something accomplished, absolutely ask for assistance. Okay, but if you're not willing to do the work, it's not going to change much for you. Ultimately, that's the long and the short of it.
All right, let's move on to another question here. This one from Vaughn. Keith, are you aware of any underground alien bases in Western Canada?
Well, two answers. One, absolutely. Two, am I going to tell you where they are? No. Yeah, I know. That's just a flat out. I prefer this neat little idea of still being able to breathe tomorrow.
Vancouver Island. That's what I'll say. And the Kootenays. I'll just keep it at that.
Okay.
Central Vancouver Island. There may be a military base at the halfway point, namely an Air Force base, and the Kootenays in the mountains there. So we've heard. Maybe. Don't quote me on it. I'll take the chance. Nothing. I know nothing. Raz wants to know. He says, get on your hands and knees and bow to the consensus of woo. Love it. All right, Michael Fontaine. So aliens are people, Keith?
Absolutely. Aliens are people, animals are people, people are people, plants are people, planets are people. They're all people, and they're all of equal worth. They're all of equal value. This is one of the reasons why I don't look at people any differently, no matter their station. Because
Right.
they've got differences, absolutely. But they're all just people.
All right, let's continue on. Vaughn wants to know, what's your opinion on full and immediate disclosure?
That would be an unmitigated, absolute civilization-ending disaster.
Why?
Well, your entire religious viewpoint, the entire religious backbone of the planet would collapse. The entirety of stable borders would be non-existent. I mean, they're non-existent now, but they would be absolutely decimated. You would have no sense of security. It would be gone. And what little trust people have in governments would be completely compromised. From there, it goes downhill. You want to see panic? Have full, unhindered disclosure, and see how well that happens and how well that works. How about if we don't?
Sadly, I agree with you, Keith. That's why I believe we are more in a confirmation of everything and not into a disclosure type movement. Now, a lot of people may not like that, and a lot of people may not agree with that. But we don't know what's going to go on. We really don't. All right, Keith, let's get to another question here for you. And this one comes from Adam. What do the aliens say about schizoaffective humans and the pheromones they emit?
In a nutshell, they're a riot. And the reason I put it that way is because there is a way to filter the pheromonal compound and turn it into a saleable drug. Okay. AKA off-worlders weed. And they don't even have to hurt anybody to do it. They pull it straight out of the atmosphere. The funny part about it is people that have that kind of an issue, those kinds of misfires, if you will, are actually easier to understand in a lot of cases than ones that think that they're running on all thrusters.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Let's go to Glenn. Are the alien ships sentient?
Some of them. I mean, unfortunately, we are dealing with, at least that I'm aware of, at least 2,500 different species. Not all of them have ships, but some of their ships are absolutely sentient. And needless to say, it can be really fun trying to fly a sentient ship when the ship goes, I'm going over there. And the captain says, but I want you going this direction. So the ship looks at him and goes, and your point would be what? It's kind of like a flea sitting on the back of a dog trying to tell the dog where the flea wants the dog to go. Doesn't work that well.
All right, Keith, let's get to Donnie. From the aliens' perspective, what makes our sun unique or special compared to the other stars in this galaxy? Does it stand out? If so, how?
More to the point, it's not the sun that stands out. It's the contents on what they call Sol 4. As in Earth. The sun itself is a standard configuration. Okay, but because of the way it was built, a portion of the sun's matter was placed inside Earth in order to stabilize the growth curve. And in order to help the Caboran that you know as Earth evolve into what she is today. Ultimately, and that's been done on other planets, like I said, the real big difference is actually the triple helix basis that life on Earth is built with.
All right. Thank you. And I appreciate that, Keith. Let's go to Pure Aussie Gold. Do you believe aliens are interplanetary or interplanetary dimensional? That's a great question.
I thought we covered that one earlier, but that's okay. I don't mind.
This one's written different.
Oh, okay. Ultimately, they're interplanetary or interstellar. They are varied vibrations, but everything that you ever see on Earth is third dimensional. Okay, it's just that you can vibrate a third dimensional object fast enough that it can pass through another third dimensional object and go completely unnoticed, which is how some things come and go and seem to just wink out of existence. Easiest way to look at that is take a look at a propeller on a plane. Okay, if it's sitting there, it's real solid. If it's spinning fast enough, it kind of disappears.
All right, let's continue on here, Keith. Pure Aussie Gold is asking. Oh, I already asked that one. Apologize. Let's go to Jurassic Joey. Has anyone ever taken or been taken while in the air on a plane?
Absolutely. Heck, I know of one person that was taken while they were trying to parachute down, which really screwed up the landing of the other people that were with them. But yeah, the fact that they're in a plane does not make them harder to take. You know, you got to remember, planes only deal in, hundreds of miles an hour. These guys can stand still, or they can travel at light speed. Just not a good idea to travel at light speed inside an atmospheric gravity well, unless you're planning on tearing the atmospheric veil off.
Let's go to Rain. Rain is asking, Keith, when you get taken in front of company, can they tell you've left?
Well, it's a good question. My honest answer to that is I would have to say yes, since I keep getting asked where the heck I disappeared to.
I want to see you vanish on your couch one day. Or maybe we're out for a beer in Kelowna somewhere, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, hold on, what's going on here? And I want to see you go all Captain Kirk and kind of fizzle away, and then like 10 minutes later come on back. That's what I want to see.
Well, that would be a shock for you.
Yes, it would. Let's go to Donnie. The humans living on Earth represent what % of humans living in this galaxy?
That is an excellent question. And I have no way of giving you an answer. Heck, I couldn't even give you a percentage of the ones living in this solar system on Earth. I can tell you that this is the major location of them. Unless we take into consideration Mobians, which they are human, they evolved on Earth, and they colonized Mobius. But they did that 40,000 years ago.
All right, next question. This one coming from Huckleberry Charles. I hope that doesn't include anal probing that I've heard of. Does the consortium really approve of that?
Well, they haven't figured out how to get certain fluids without actually cutting people open. Okay, so do they approve of it? Technically, yes. But then you got to remember, doctors approve of it on Earth as well. I still don't recommend it, but, but it is one of the safest methods.
Yeah, a little woohoo goes a long way. All right, Adam wants to know, what do the visitors do with human pheromones? What's the interest?
Well, basically it boils down to, if you can understand what is causing human pheromonal discharge, you can figure out how humans think by scent. Okay, and for some of the races, understanding how humans think via scent and how they communicate via scent is extremely advantageous when setting up a communication line. You know, that would be the polite side of it. The other side of it, of course, is when you're dealing with humans that are really happy, are really in a good mood. If you can tap into that isolated drug, okay, picture getting a hold of happy gas. What the heck is it called? Nitrous oxide. I think that's what they use for the dentist. You know, picture that on steroids.
All right. Well, let's see here. Let's go to another question from our audience. Let's go to Huckleberry Charles again. What shape are the UFOs that abduct you?
On the whole, they're in good shape. But more often than not, they're triangular. I do periodically get picked up by the Martokians, which are the round starships with the bubble on top, or your standard round disc shapes that's what you end in. That's the Greys, the Zeta Reticulans. And of course, the cigar-shaped ones are always fun. Those are the ones that are operated by the Strazazians. Those are the most common ones I go with. Of course, you got to remember the triangle ones, which are owned by the consortium itself. They are also used to ferry you between different ships. You know, the smaller ones are. They don't take one of the big ones to make the jump to a different ship.
Very cool. Let's go to a new one here. Let's go to Travis. Keith, what type of books do you write?
Science fiction, science fantasy, self-help, reference manual, children's books, and I'm working on a poetry anthology. And that pretty much covers it.
Very nice. Very nice. And where can they find them?
RKeithAndrews.com is my actual website that details what they are. Or you can order them directly through me. At the bottom of every one of my videos, you'll find links to get a hold of me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can order them all directly through me. Now, with the Elderbachian Chronicles, Birth of the Wolf Pack, and the End of an Epoch, they can also be got and be acquired through Amazon. But every one of them can be acquired through me directly.
Excellent. Excellent. Keith, we got about a minute. Let's get to one more question here. Let's go to Adam, who wants to know your thoughts on Ashtar.
Oh, Ashtar Command. Okay. They're an intriguing group. Tend to be a little misguided on occasion. But they are because they work more on the scientific side of things, and they push their own limits beyond. They work more on a theoretical level, even for them. But for the most part, they're on a decent track.
All right. I think that'll be it. We got a ton of questions for you, Keith, in the final half hour with you next on Spaced Out Radio. And if we need any more, I will ask the audience for those. But it's been a great night so far. Lots of interaction from our live audience on our YouTube channel. And we are having an absolute blast here with our main man, R Keith Andrews, and the ET Connection, which happens near the beginning of each month here on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio and R Keith Andrews right after this. All right, Keith, we're clear.
Okie doke. I'm just going to run off and go and grab my coffee.
All right, you go.
Be right back.
Okay. Hello, Thurston Howell the Third, Lunar Sparkles. Who else has just showed up here? I think Entry Anderson is watching. Very cool. Very cool, Entry.
We're back.
R Keith Andrews. Super Knower, how you doing? I'm so behind in the chat room right now.
Oh, well, you get used to it. I have no idea how you handle as many as you do.
It's ridiculous sometimes, but we got to get her done. I'm on my second glass of water.
See, I'm only on my fourth cup of coffee tonight.
Hey, Dirty Filth, if you're around, I don't know if you are. We're going to assume it.
I'm listening.
Did you do the one chip challenge yet?
No.
When are you going to do that?
I was supposed to do it last weekend.
Hey, Vash the Impaler. We need to get this done. Can I please suggest something to you, buddy?
Yes.
Get yourself a 4-liter jug of milk.
Okay.
Okay? Just trust me on that as someone who's done it. Get yourself a 4-gallon jug or a 4-liter jug of milk. You'll thank me.
Can it be chocolate milk?
Yeah, that's what I used. Chocolate milk. And get yourself some ice cream. Okay, because that's not going to be enough. Get yourself a pail of ice cream and a 4-liter jug of chocolate milk.
Well, personally, I agree with the idea of the ice cream. I'm just not happy with the chocolate.
Well, the idea here is, Keith, the one chip challenge is one potato chip that's 1.9 million Scoville units of heat. And that chip hates you. It hates you more than your ex-mother-in-law. Okay?
My ex-mother-in-law is dead.
Well, yeah. The one chip challenge is dangerous. And I would do it again.
If you're going to do something like that, would it not make more sense to get tomato juice as compared to the milk?
Hey, it's Uncle Jimmy Goodall. There he is. Little Jimmy Goodall hanging on out in the YouTube chat. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that picture there. A friend of my dad's actually was the creator of moose milk. I forget what his name was, but of course I was only like 6 or 7 when I met him. But the moose milk that you can get up here, the alcohol, a friend of my dad's actually created it.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to Molly and Pam and Donnie times 5 and Jeff times 4. Actually, Donnie times 6 now. Jeff times 4. YJ, Dirt Road, Ozzy, and Cat Chaser, Thomas Vaughn. Very much appreciate the love and support. And the Doug Shelby. I think we're going to get a new T-shirt in the SOR chat room that says, "The Doug Shelby, MFer." That's right. We're probably going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to figure that one out. The Doug Shelby. That's right. Why not? We got a Cable Guy Matt T-shirt. That's what we're going to do. Here we go, everyone. Halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate it. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we got R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection happening right here live. And we love it when Keith comes in near the beginning of each month because we get to learn about all the weird woo going around the alien world as he's a lifelong experiencer. Keith, we're going to continue with our questions from our audience here, if you don't mind, my friend.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get it right. Where are we here?
That came out really well.
When the aliens crash, don't their homies come and help?
Only sometimes. The reality is, from their standpoint, if you crash on another planet, okay, more often than not, the people that land, the occupants, more often than not end up dead. Okay, they either end up dead or they end up hurt to the point that they're pretty much useless in the first place. So they just don't bother. It's kind of like if you're going to be dumb enough to crash on a planet, sorry, humans would call it the Darwin effect. You know, if you're stupid enough to crash your plane, your ship, we don't want you getting into another one. So we'll just leave you here and you can figure it out.
All right. Hey, we want to say hello to Renee Bjork Christensen for first time watching our show live on YouTube. Thank you so much. He's always listened to the podcast. Well, now he gets the live show. Renee Bjork, that sounds like, to me, Icelandic. I'm hoping Icelandic because I don't think we've had a listener from Iceland in our chat room before. That would be really cool. If not, wherever you are, Renee, thanks for tuning us in, man. Very much appreciated. All right, Keith, let's get to another question. This one from YJ. What are your thoughts about a rapture type event? Is it something that you think could ever happen via extraterrestrials?
Well, the fact that we put the word could in there, sure, it could happen. I wouldn't hold my breath for it. Okay, because that is not the way they operate. You know, mankind, the off-worlders are not going to come down and select out a few people or a few 100,000 people. It doesn't matter. They're not going to pick out specific people and go, okay, we're going to save you before the world burns. Sorry, you're on your own on that one. Mankind still has the ability to turn this mess around, but they've got to accept the fact they can. Okay, and that it is in their power. The off-worlders are not going to come in and go, let's pick out this group of people or this number of people. And rest assured, it won't have anything to do with whether you're in a church, whether you happen to vote for the right person, or whether you've got the most money. Okay, they don't use that for a gauge for abducting people to check fluid levels. Sounds like a car, but no, that's just not one of them.
Let's get right to it here. because we got a bunch of questions here. Let's go to the Doug Shelby. What about the ones at 12,000 plus in the Andes? I forget what this was about. Maybe caves, maybe aliens hanging out there.
I don't know. I know the Andes is full of off-worlders and ancient races, but they fall under the same category. They're still not going to come down and pick a bunch of people up and go, let's lift you out of harm's way before we barbecue the city. You know,
True.
if they were going to wipe out Earth, they're not going to pick up people and take them away. Okay, because they wouldn't even be on the planet when they wiped it out. I mean, they'd be in the solar system, but that's where it would end.
All right, let's go to Cat Chaser. Aren't aliens supposed to erase your memories of your abductions? I could never remember.
Most of the time, they are supposed to. And the reason for that is so that the people, when they put them back, such as yourself, can carry on with your life as normal as possible. It's one thing to think you've been abducted or to wonder what happened in a certain amount of time, or, gee, how did I get this set of clothes on? Because I never even buy things like this. Okay. It's another to remember it all together.
Very true.
In my case, it's just, it works that way.
All right, Keith. J1 is asking, is there something non-experiencers can do to increase their chances of becoming an experiencer?
The best way I can put it, because there's no all around, here's the trick. Okay, but I can tell you, they are more likely to pick people up from what I've seen. Aside from when they're looking at absolute experiments, okay, or exams, that sort of thing. The one thing I have seen that is a common denominator is the more open you, or the more accepting of people on your own planet you are. Okay, as in, discard this whole idea that because they come from a different planet, from a different part of the world, they're a different color, they're a different orientation. You've got, the more accepting of the whole 9 yards you are, the more likely you are to make that kind of contact. Now, bear in mind, there are some races it's just wise not to look forward to getting picked up by. The obvious one would be the Teklak. Because of the Teklak, they're a reptilian raptor-like race. If they invite you to dinner, you're the main course.
All right. Let's continue on here, Keith. Let's go to Pam here. I've heard aliens have a sense of humor. Would humans get their humor, or would it be over our heads?
Well, I'm absolutely certain the Drake's humor would be over your heads. Of course, the reality in the Drake's case is they're 15 feet tall. But it really depends on what experience you've got, because like humans, they do have a sense of humor, but it is tied to their own experiences, and to their own cultures.
Right. Okay, let's move on here. Let's go to Sweet Donnie Cho. What do certain transcendent humans, Jesus, Buddha, Elvis, Bruce Lee, represent to extraterrestrials?
Sociological icons. They've got their own series of them. I mean, you look at it, people like, these are what would be called real, whether they wanted to be that way or not, they developed a following of people that look to them for guidance. Okay. Now, some of them are better role models than others for obvious reasons. Okay. I mean, if you think about it, and my brother was a very big Elvis fan, but following some of his practices would be kind of like following some of Keith Richards. Not necessarily the wisest role model. I mean, he had phenomenal music, don't get me wrong. But they are basically sociological icons for humans.
All right. Let's go back with Donnie. Final question, he says, of the night from him, Keith. The Nephilim, who and what are they?
The Nephilim, literally translated, boils down to gods, meaning far more powerful than humans can comprehend, can wrap their brain around. But they were not anything special per se. Okay, they had abilities way beyond human can. Okay, but they were also told, you're not allowed to play the part of God here. Mankind has to learn to stand on its own. It's got to learn to take responsibility for its own actions. And thus far, mankind has not done this very well. There are some very blatant, misguided directions that people are following that are leading to a disaster. And it's one that's been repeated multiple times. But the Nephilim literally boils down to gods. People that are so far advanced above mankind that mankind looks to them as gods. Now understand, a human from a so-called first world country goes into the Congo, in amongst the pygmies or in amongst the Australian Aborigines, with a Bic lighter. You conceal the Bic lighter in your hand, and you say a couple of words and wave your hand over top of it, and as the old saying went, you flick the Bic. You're now a god. You created fire from nowhere. Okay. Now that's how you differentiate man to God. And don't get me wrong, I'm a firm believer in God. Very firm believer in God and in Yeshua. Yeshua, for those of you that don't know, was actually Jesus' actual name.
All right, let's go to some more questions here, Keith. Jeff Steve Garvey is asking, Keith, are the Pleiadians still relevant?
Absolutely. The Pleiadians are an interstellar, very neutral race focused on healing. Now, the reality is you'll never find a purebred Pleiadian on Earth. You'll find hybrids, but you'll never find a true Pleiadian because the atmosphere will kill them.
All right, let's go to Gloria. If humanity leads Earth to its doom, will the aliens come to our side?
Providing, okay, if humans leads the human race to its doom, the answer is no. They will simply wait for another race to evolve into caretaker position. If the human race threatens the Caboran that you know of as Earth or as Gaia, they will not come to your aid. They will come in and solve the problem, but they'll be protecting Earth, not humans. Which goes back to that neat little thing about the rapture, about them picking up certain humans and taking them off world.
All right, let's go to another question. Pure Aussie Gold. Is the entity known as Shadow Man an alien or some form of demonic?
Sad to say, I have no idea who Shadow Man is, so I'm not entirely certain.
Oh, you got to learn that one. Broken Karma asking, will aliens save us from AI technology?
No, they just think AI technology is a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, now don't get me wrong. I believe it is a Xenon, and I'd have to double check my notes. But will they protect mankind from an AI race? Okay, the answer is yeah, absolutely they will. I'm just trying to remember which one it is. I think it's a Xenon. Of course, the problem is it might be the Xenon or the Xeron that are an actual robotic race. Actually, well, I do it this way. It's quicker than the computer is. But they will step in and protect people from that race, not from AI built by mankind. I mean, mankind has done some brilliant work Yeah, it's the Xenon. Okay, if the Xenon ever get here, they'll absolutely throw their full force into protecting the human race, or more to the point, they'll pull their full armada up against them to stop them from taking the planet. But what mankind is doing with AI, no, that's your guys' problem. Ironically enough, mankind has built the AI that's absolutely brilliant. It's just not wise to do so. Because you take emotional interaction out of the equation and give pure logic, the solution to most of mankind's problems will result in solving the problem, but you're not going to like the outcome.
All right, Keith, let's move on here because we only got a few minutes left. Donnie Cho, okay, last question, he says, for Keith.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
What is the actual deal with dark matter?
You have three types of matter. You've got dark matter and antimatter. They're the same thing. They're just different words for the same thing. You've got physical matter. You've got antimatter, or the negative opposite, and you've got the neutral matter that binds it all together. And again, we have that threefold connection. But when you put antimatter in contact with physical matter, with positive matter, you end up with a detonation. There was a case back in the 60s where from what I gather, a complete apartment or complete building, like block, vanished out of existence. They chalked it up to the police chalked it up to a gas explosion or something to that effect. Problem is, it atomized the building and anybody that was in it. Now, whether you can... Oh, that's what you need, a bug. Isn't that where you're supposed to turn around and eat it for lunch?
No, it's a Daddy Longlegs that's crawled in here somewhere. He's now going under my desk. He fell off my hand. So that's okay. All right, Keith. Let's move on. Let's get to Renee. What can we do as individual people to further global acceptance?
That's the easy part. When you're dealing with people, doesn't matter who it is, treat them the way you desire to be treated. The more that happens around the world, the more that laws are passed that apply to everybody, regardless of station in life, regardless of skin color or gender, the more equal that becomes, the closer connected the entire race will be, and the closer we're going to get to a unified planet, which is what is necessary to be accepted into the Galactic Consortium as a member race.
Excellent. All right. Let us move on here to our round of questions. We've got about 5.5 minutes, and we've got 6 questions. I think we can do it,
Okay.
Keith. The Doug Shelby is asking, do you still not foresee any sort of future conflict or war with extraterrestrials?
Oh, the sad part there is the answer is yes, in about 500 to 1,000 years, when mankind gets to the point that they're actually able to compete. Right now, it wouldn't be a war. Right now, if the ETs, if any one of them were to actually attack, the war would be over before mankind even knew it was started. So no, I will call it garbage. This garbage that so many people in the UFO community and in the government, they're coming forward going, we got to watch out because we're going to get attacked. It's absolute shovelfuls and backhoes full. And you figure out what it's full of. Because there is no way that mankind would withstand any sort of an interstellar war. I mean, heck, neighbors won't defend each other in the case of a neighborhood assault. Can you picture what would happen if we all of a sudden had a global attack?
All right, let's continue on here, my friend. Let's go to Raz. How difficult is it to document in real time an abduction event?
I have no idea. I've never tried. I know that's a lousy answer, but I've tracked the side effects of it, but I've only seen one right up front that we actually intercepted. Okay, and when I say we, there were about 8 or 10 of us, working together in a physical sense to interrupt an abduction. We won, as in they didn't get the guy.
All right, let's go to Joe. Which aliens do Keith think would be the first ones to land a ship on the 50-yard line during a Monday night football game and say, howdy?
Well, if I were the only ones I can see doing that in a real hurry isn't an ancient race, or isn't an off-world race. It would be an ancient one. See, the Parake, there is a small group of them that would make total sense if they were ever let outside. But the off-worlders, they're forbidden to do so because it would shatter society. And they don't actually want to shatter society.
All right,
it's a little hard to watch society evolve if you break it apart.
2 minutes, Keith.
Yep.
This one from Willamette Valley Cryptids. Ever hear of the Millionth Council?
Honestly, no. But there are lots of councils out there that I haven't heard about.
All right. Renee. Oh, we asked Renee's question. Last question of the night for you, Keith. This one coming from Sovereign Farts. What do reptilians, or why do reptilians, kill one of their own and have no problem eating them, even if it was one of their family members?
Well, the killing one of their own, if they are going to be a burden on society, or if they are at the point where they're no longer functional, killing them is actually a blessing for them. Okay. Now understand, they will only eat the ones that are not diseased. Okay. And old age, by the way, does not qualify as disease. As for why they will eat them, even if they're a family member, it's because waste not, want not. They're carnivores. It's meat. Once the individual is dead, their soul is no longer in that. Therefore, it's simply a vehicle. And one that, if you season it right, tastes good. Of course, in their case, they really don't care most of the time whether they season it at all. But that would be the why.
Keith, tell everybody where they can find your books. They can find your YouTube channel, everywhere. Where can they find you?
Easiest way to do it is the books you find on rkeithandrews.com. R Keith Andrews is my YouTube channel. And of course, you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter at R Keith Andrews or at Inner Voice Enterprises. Inner Voice Enterprises at yahoo.ca is the most effective way to get a hold of me via email. But below every one of my videos, it'll show you a whole list of ways to get a hold of me. And again, if you've got questions that we didn't get to, drop me a line. I'll do my best to give you an answer.
Excellent. All right, Keith, always a pleasure, buddy, to have you here on Spaced Out Radio. You're one of the best, my man, and we very much appreciate it. And we'll see you next month.
Well, thank you again for having me. Have a great night, guys.
You too, R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. And then little Timmy Senor will join us for the UFO report. All coming up in hour 3. Keith, I think this is our 4th show in a row where we've had well over 200 listeners live on YouTube for you.
Good Lord. Definitely
How
getting a
awesome.
little oversized, eh? How the hell do you keep? Pardon my French, but how do you keep up with that many in the chat room?
Not all of them are in the chat room. Some are just watching. But
okay, that would do it.
yeah. All right, buddy. We're gonna let you go here, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Absolutely. You have a great night.
You too, buddy. All right, R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection. And there's Dirty Filth's art for the night. Little Timmy Senor will be here in a minute, and I'll be right back. All right. We'll say goodnight to Dirty Filth. And hi to Dave. Hi, everybody. My name's Dave. Hi, Lunar Tina. Thurston Howell III. Overbuilt Automotive. How you doing? Big thank you to all our super chatters tonight. Cat Chaser, Thomas, Vaughn, Donnie, Jeff, and a lot of Donnie, and a lot of Jeff, and Ozzy, and the Doug Shelby, Dirt Road, YJ, Pam, Molly, and Simon. Thank you so much for the love, guys. Very much appreciate it, especially going into the Labor Day weekend. And no, Dave doesn't eat insects for his breakfast for dinner. No, Dave doesn't do that. All right, let's get ready for our good friend Swamp Dweller, shall we? Let's do her.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we are, kicking off the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you all with us. Thank you for tuning us on in, wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Doing old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Hey, the Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Balneology. Balneology is password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again to head into the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. So I am from Southern Illinois. I am 30 years old now, but this happened when I was just 12. Let me start by saying I have always been interested in the paranormal and always loved cryptid documentaries and shows. But I'm not someone who really imagines things and really truly believed in this stuff. I live in a tiny town. It doesn't even show up on the map. I was across the street from my house at my friend's house. His name is Aaron. He was about a year older than me. I planned to stay the night over there and play PlayStation with them all night, and make fun of Max after dark like we always did. Yes, people, I'm an old man now. Anyways, he had a huge backyard that sloped down quite steeply but at a slow incline, so it didn't look like such a big hill unless you were on top of his deck looking down at the very edge. He had neighbors spread out far on both sides. They both also had huge backyards. Beyond this backyard was a small valley with a house on the top of each side. The valley's left side was a small field with about an acre of prairie grass. The right side was a small set of woods, also about an acre long, with a meandering creek running through both parts and separating Aaron's property from Ryan and his brothers. We used to ride our bikes through it, play search, and search for crawdads. This summer night, we were hanging out in the clubhouse of the kids we were friends with on the hill to the right of this valley. They owned the woods. The club was a small cabin with a loft. It was about 10 feet by 10 feet with a window on each side and the entrance at the front facing their house. So we were all just there chilling when we heard this loud rustling sound in the bush. It was dark outside, but we were all junior high kids, so we thought we were tough guys. We looked outside the window and you could see something moving in the brush close to where the end of the wood line met the field. Now, I was not one to get creeped out, but for some reason, this time, I felt very weird. We were no strangers to possums, raccoons, coyotes, or stray dogs. All of those creatures were out here all of the time. No big deal. Once we were outside the clubhouse and had moved closer, I would say about 100 feet from the edge of the woods, trying to see in the twilight and creep up on whatever was in there, we heard a growl and a violent movement of the brush. We ran out of there, retreating to the deck of Ryan's house. His younger brother got their stepdad and we told him something or someone was out in the woods. He had a searchlight for boating. He plugged it in and scanned the woods and there was nothing that we could see. He told us to calm down and stop being babies and go back inside. Ryan and his brother decided to call it a night. It was beyond dark at this time. So Aaron and I hurried to our bikes, jumped on the ramp we built across the street, and got back to his house. We quickly forgot about the incident while playing PlayStation and chugging Mountain Dew. Now, I also took Mitch Ranch house, the UV room for him to play video games. A set of French doors leading outside there around 2 or so in the morning. We stopped playing video games and started talking about schoolgirls and the like. Then we started talking about what might have been in the woods earlier that day. At some point during our conversation, we heard a thump outside. It sounded like it came from the back and low to the ground. It was enough to make us both stop and listen. Then we heard it again. The room was dark except for the glow of the TV, and the volume was so low that it was almost inaudible. Aaron got up from the couch and went to the French doors, which had those 1990s long vertical blinds covering them. He peeked out one side, and I peeked out the other. From there, we saw a slumped-over dark figure by the bottom of the stair leading down from the deck. At first, we thought it might be a person trying to break in. Aaron's stepdad was gone working the midnight shift, and his mom was one of those sensitive, must-be-protected types. We decided not to tell her as she probably would be hysterical. We chose to keep an eye on things and see what happens. We left the French doors and went into the kitchen to get a better look from the kitchen windows. This thing was more significant than a man, but it was hard to make out any details from it being so dark outside and us being about 15 feet above it. We could tell it was on all fours and facing the steps up to the deck. It began coming up the steps, but paused. Aaron's dog Damien, a medium-sized mutt that looked like a black version of Lassie, with slightly shorter hair and a white spot on his chest, began growling at the doors out to the deck. Aaron's mom took sleeping pills and a couple glasses of wine, so she was out like a fat girl playing dodgeball. Plus, she hated to be bothered, so we still figured we wouldn't get her. You could tell Damien was angry, but unlike how he would usually be if there was something like an animal out there. He seemed somewhat scared, but protective. We got some courage and flipped the rear deck lights on, and whatever it was took off like a bat out of hell. Then, we crept onto the deck with a flashlight and scanned the yard. We didn't see anything, but we yelled out to whatever it was to not come back, that we had guns and a dog. Would mess it up. I know, don't, right? So, we went inside, and it was hard to get to sleep, but Aaron finally did eventually. I still lay awake on the floor petting the dog. Suddenly I get this weird feeling like I'm being watched. The hair on my arm stood up, and even though I didn't know what I might see, I went to the French doors and peeked out. There was the dark animal on all fours by a tree stump at the left of the property on the hill. I could see it because there was nothing but the stump and a small hill there, and the moonlight just barely lit it up. I was taken aback. I quickly got Aaron, and he came to see it. This took maybe a minute tops, but this thing, by the time we got there, was now standing in the figure of a man on top of the stump. It was about 4 a.m. at this point. Morning twilight was just coming, so we could tell it was some sort of man. We couldn't believe it. The thing that really freaked me out is that this man had a deer head. We turned to each other like, what the hell is going on? We looked back, and now it was walking into the field and about to disappear into the woodline. We talked about it for about an hour, and then went back to bed. To this day, I have never had an experience like that ever. I have no idea what it was. I thought maybe at the time it was a werewolf or a shapeshifter, but nowadays, I just wonder if it maybe wasn't some big scary man with a deer head on. But whatever it was, it downright terrified me. Why would this figure be on the hill on all fours and look so huge? And why the hell would it be up there, standing on two legs if it was an animal? And what were they doing in the woods? If it's not a skinwalker or anything like that, what kind of psycho does this? I still can't decide.
What kind of person does that? That's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, to make sure that we get a little freaked out every Monday through Friday night. And you can check out the Swamp Dwellers, thousands of stories on your own by going to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. They are all free. All you got to do is hit subscribe on his great channel. All right, we're going to move over to the UFO report. Our main man, Tim Senor, is here. Now, you're probably going to see his shirt if you're on YouTube. You're probably going to wonder, hey, where's the picnic? But let's get to it.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Good old little Timmy Senor here before he heads off back to Vernal, Utah to take his team into Blind Frog Ranch for another round of research. And who knows, maybe I'll call in some UFOs for him. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Doing really well. I wore your favorite shirt, trying to make you hungry, of course. But yep, just getting the team all prepped, making sure that we have everything on our checklist, ready to go. Looking forward to Vernal, looking for some updates and looking to present some updates. The team is going to be part of a panel up there, so we're going to be dropping some truth bombs up there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, you know what? I am very much excited for you, man. Very much excited for you. And I wish I could go. I wanted to go, thought I would be able to go, except my daytime boss, because I do work a daytime job as well. I'm a workaholic, as everybody knows that's close to me. He came down with blood clots in his legs. And he's doing much better now. But if he gets tired, I can't have him cover my shift. He can barely work 6 hours or 2 hours a day, let alone 8 or 9. So I got to make sure that I am there for him. Yeah. But otherwise, I would be right there with you, buddy.
Much appreciated. You're a good friend, bud, and I appreciate all the support from the very get-go. You've been on board and tons of help, great advice, and we couldn't have done it without you, man. Thank you.
Well, you know, shout out to you, Gentry Anderson, Terry Hall, and Terry Hall's Handlebar Mustache, two separate entities, Carl the Crusher, and our good friend, new friend, Cactus Jack. By the way, Cactus Jack added me on Facebook today, which is really, really cool. I look forward to getting to meet and know him. He seems like a great guy. All right, Tim, let's kick off the news here going on. Apparently, there is a new video out of a drone swarm buzzing around some of the United States Navy's most advanced warships. And where, again? Over California. My goodness. Tell us about it, buddy.
That's right. And so 6 unidentified craft with flashing lights circled the USS Zumwalt for nearly 90 minutes, and one flew right over sailors' heads. New video footage shows 4 mysterious craft filmed from the deck of the U.S. Navy's most advanced warship, the USS Zumwalt, circling the 6 craft for 85 minutes, Navy files now show. So the details of the close encounter, which remain semi-unexplained, first emerged in secret files that were accidentally posted online by the U.S. Navy. Now, shaky footage filmed by the crewmen on board the Zumwalt, has been released by The Drive under the Freedom of Information Act and the Freedom of Information laws. It shows 4 of the 6 craft apparently flying in a square formation near the $4.4 billion warship. 2 at the opposite corners are seen flashing strobe-like bright lights towards the vessel, each with a different frequency. One flashes a red for a 30th of a second, about every second and a half or so, and the other flashes blue once a second for about a 1/6 of a second or so, according to analysis by UFO researcher Dave Beatty. The encounter was...
if it's coming from Dave Beatty, it's good research.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he brought us all of the information on the USS Nimitz encounter, the Tic Tac, and tons of interviews with lots of airmen and naval witnesses. And so Dave Beatty brings us more information here on the encounter that was recorded between 8:15 p.m. and 9:40 p.m. local time on April 24th, back in 2019. The international waters to the west of the Marine Corps base at Camp Pendleton in Southern California. The new Navy documents include a map showing the 6 unmanned aircraft systems, the unofficial name for drones, repeatedly crossed the Zumwalt's path. And so the drone swarm appeared to fly in a 4-mile wide triangular route while the destroyer sails from north and then to the south. Initially, one unknown craft was spotted off the starboard bow at 8:15, recorded at about 3:15 Zulu. 10 minutes later, the commanding officer on the bridge was notified of 3 steady white lights, and then 2 sets of flashing red and green lights. And so it looks like there were multiple crafts coming through this, and we're only getting a partial report as always. Dave, some of these images are pretty compelling, but again, this was confirmed by multiple airmen along with the Snoopy the Snoopy team that was on board the naval vessel. So do you have an opinion on this? Do you feel this is legitimately all drones, as this report seems to claim? Or do you have an opinion that this may be something other?
Well, you know what? At first, I would say that if it's this Tic Tac incidents type of thing again, that I would lean towards where we're going, which is aliens. However, I'm not sure. I get thrown off, Tim, when I hear the word drones coming out. We know what drones are. We're sophisticated enough to know what a drone is. And if it's drones, it's human. I'm firmly aware of that. If it's unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, call it that. I don't know. I don't know how to get into this, Tim. It's confusing.
Yeah, and the gauging of the report is really tough to do because obviously, even with the FOIA representation as it is through the report given here, it's still very general with some of the information. So, for example, the timeline of events, according to the FOIA, is gained visual of UNK flashing lights off starboard bow, and UNK is unknown, short for unknown, flashing lights off starboard bow. 2, notified of 3 lights, identified steady white. 3, identified 2 sets of flashing red-green lights. And then 4, reported as of on bridge, starboard lookout reports drone, quote-unquote, crosses flight deck from starboard to port. And the port lookout confirms visual of lights and reports heading away. Then the 5th report comes in from the Snoopy team and continues to track multiple, up to 6 UAS systems heading northwest and southwest. Again, UAS being unmanned aerial system. And then finally, the 6th is a commander on deck called the event and continued to track the UAS as the end of the event. And this all took place over a fairly brief amount of time. And it sounds like these swarmed in from about 4 miles and continued on in their trajectory after swarming the ship. It's pretty interesting activity if it is, let's say, mundane drones, but it does seem like it's a query of some sort, taking a closer look at some of our higher tech marine vessels. And that definitely sends up red flags. It's alarming. What is your general opinion? I mean, do you have a kind of gut feeling on this one?
Once again, Tim, is this just trying to rebuild the threat narrative? I thought we'd gone over that. I thought we were over the threats. But, maybe we're not. Maybe we're not. I'm hearing that the threat narrative could be coming back. And as people go out and talk to other people in other countries, the threat narrative is following that lead. And we haven't seen any of these drones take on American aircraft. They've been there in the sky. They haven't fired anything on these naval ships. I think they're ours. I think it's private testing. And if they continue to call them drones, I'm going to be guaranteeing. Well, I can't guarantee anything because I won't know. That's a stupid comment, Dave. But in my opinion, that's all it can be, is some sort of advanced technology. And look, you and I talked to a very special person who worked at Area 51 who believed that the Tic Tacs are our technology. Why would this be any different? Okay, Catalina Island is not that far from Area 51 as the crow flies. And if they are drones, well, then I'm sure they're testing the United States is testing its brand new technology on the best naval force in the world.
Right. And they have admitted to testing against unwitting military participants in some of these events. And so that is pretty hard hitting to people like Kevin Day, who, were part of this project potentially without their knowledge and subject to the psychological trauma resulting from that event. And so, I hope that that's not what we're seeing demonstrated here. But let's just consider, if this was something mundane, should it be something that we are concerned about? If it is just our own drones, should they be buzzing our ships and our ships not know where they're coming from?
Absolutely.
But, yes, absolutely. And on the other side of the coin, if it is something that is not mundane and isn't man-made, should we be concerned about why it's buzzing our high-tech military ships?
No.
Absolutely. Oh, you don't think we should care? Well,
No.
I still think we should care.
Well, let us remember this, Tim, going into the final minute here before we have to move on. Our source that you and I talked to in Las Vegas, who used to work at Area 51, told us point blank, everything he told us we could say, number one, okay? And this is what was scary, is that this technology that they have in places like Area 51, they real-time test it. And they real-time test bombing runs on Los Angeles and Las Vegas right down the strip to the Air Force, the Marine, will react to a stealth type bombing run. And so far, the technology has won. And we'll get more into that and more with Tim Senor on the UFO Report. Coming up next, best close-up photos of this weird UFO seen seen over Mexico. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio. Tim Senor next. Hey, Carlito, thank you, buddy. I appreciate everywhere people listen. You listen on Spotify, that's great. It's wonderful. Thank you, bud. Excuse me. But that was true, Tim. When our friend told us this. You know, and these happen once a month where they will send stealth fighters or, pardon me, better than stealth fighters over top of LA and over top of the strip in Las Vegas. And the strip in Las Vegas, it's only a couple of miles from Nellis Air Force Range where there's F-35s, F-22s, F-15s, F-16s, the best fighters in the world.
Yeah.
And their radars are not picking it up. So here these pilots of these strange aircraft, whatever kind of aircraft they are doing bombing runs on the Vegas Strip, and nobody can hear it, nobody can see it, because nobody in Vegas is looking up to watch it happen. And by the way, you're all locked on when we're in Vegas. How awesome is that?
Yeah. And even with that information, the question that I asked and that keeps me going all the time is there still anything out there that isn't ours? And his answer was pleasingly, yes, there are definitely things out there that are unexplainable from his personal experience and others and conversations. So, you know, and that's what pushes us forward, is figuring out what that other is. You know, because it's not all ours.
No, it's not all ours. But I think a good portion of it is.
Yeah, and I think something brazen like buzzing a military ship would definitely be something that we would do, testing our own military.
Hell
I don't
yeah.
think something from another somewhere, an other, would necessarily be that curious or that brazen.
Why would you test it if you already have the greatest Navy in history in your backyard? Why would you travel to Canada or Mexico or across to the UK or France or any other country that has to test it against them? You're not doing that.
Right.
Hi, Peppa
And
H.
another great aspect is, as we know, a lot of times within the government, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. And so this could absolutely be Air Force testing against Navy, you know, because it's obviously Navy scratching their head. And it's obviously Air Force that's been just silent on what they've been up to for 75 years plus.
It's bragging rights. It's bragging rights.
Yeah, same way the Marines just have their own, you know, way. And, you know, it could absolutely be one department testing against the other, you know, and that gets into a lot of interesting questions, you know, that we don't necessarily have to bring up here and now, but it definitely, I think, raises some obvious questions.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Are you excited for story 3? It's so really off. Good. It's so off the rail from usual.
Oh, you have no idea how much I hate those stories.
But this is real, though. It's true. And it's going to be like, it's a mind blower when you see how much is going on. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. We'll just scratch on it. Give it 3 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
You're not a paleontologist. I get that.
Oh,
Hint,
I
hint.
think it's great. I do. By the way,
It's
did you hear the
in
story?
Canada.
Did you hear the story in Norway where they're under record heat waves and their glaciers are melting? And now they're finding all of these Viking swords and spears that have been laying under the snow and the ice for literally thousands of years.
Right. Right. Paleontologists all over the world are discovering bones. And that's pretty much what my news is about, the third story.
All right. All right. More dinosaurs. Yay. Here we go, everyone.
Gotta poke the hole.
We're rounded third. We're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. And to think I could have chose Motley Crue over this tonight. Dinosaurs. Yay, coming on up. Woo. All right, Tim Senior's here with the UFO report as we are rocking it out tonight. But we're heading down to Mexico, Tim, where there is some very, very interesting photos that have been taken.
That's right. And over the years, Mexico has proven to be a hotspot for UFO sightings. And recently, Jaime Maussan has been on a new investigation in this one. And pilots have reported seeing a flurry of UFOs. And one recent sighting over a mountain provided what one expert called the best close-up ever of an alien craft. And even more recently, a UFO sighting took place during the current tropical cyclone season over the Mexican state of Tampayas. The object was spotted in the sky by a local resident named Juanito Juan. Juan says he was taking photos of some ominous oncoming storm clouds when he spotted a metallic disc-shaped UFO in the sky, looking like a prototypical flying saucer. Juan snapped several photos of the object which appear to show some of its movements in the sky. In a quote from him, he says, "This photo was taken today, 8/17/2022, in the rural area of Tampayas by a person who calls himself Juanito Juan." During the afternoon of this day, and when he wanted to take some photos of the storm clouds, he noticed that this object and took some sequence incredible images. The caption on a tweet contained the photos. And so Jaime Maussan went on to do an interview with the man and later discusses the UFO sighting over the Tampayas Mountains with the witness. And in a quote here, he says, "There have been many sightings in this place, and the people here in this town begin to have to say today that I also saw what we have been seeing in all of these years, and now I have seen something different." And so yesterday, a lady came and told me in this quote, and she saw it at night, but that it had many colored lights below and that it was not a plane. So to give a fair description, it is a prototypical saucer shape, and it's a very close-up photograph. And even in my opinion, this would be a really tough photo to fake. There are a sequence of them which do seem to show some movement with this saucer in the sky. And so it's pretty exciting to see some more evidence coming from this part of the world. Even in the close-ups, this object really does seem to hold up and doesn't appear to have any pixelation. It hasn't been put into the photograph. So whatever this object is definitely part of the image and wasn't put in there.
You know what? I want this to be a UFO, but all the skeptics are going to eat this thing up as a hubcap, man.
Of course.
Or a shiny frisbee.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And I mean, Jaime Maussan has also taken quite a bit of heat through the years for having stories on balloons, clusters of balloons, misidentified aircraft, and weather phenomenon. But I think the fact remains that you have to report on this topic for people to be looking up and even aware of it as a potential topic. So when something like this comes out, I consider it extraordinary because it's a great image.
Here's my concern. Okay. This is a gentleman who has the Nazca bodies videos on his site.
Yeah, Arturo.
This person, Arturo, is a UFO-aholic. Like every post on Twitter is about UFOs. There's no breakfast foods for dinner being photographed. There's no spouse. There's no, pictures of anything outside of UFOs. Now,
Right.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but to me, it's a little worrisome, that this guy either has something very special going on and people are sending him a plethora of videos, or we're looking for some fame here with a hubcap.
Right. But he's not the videographer. He didn't take the images, he just distributed it. Right. And so we can't delete the information just because we don't like the messenger. Again, and that's kind of why I brought up Jaime Maussan in his career.
Very true.
Because, I can't be right 100% of the time, and I really only try to put out data, right? Here's someone else that's bringing out other people's data, and he's also interviewing the witness, and it's hard to, call someone a liar to their face, right? If they're presenting you with a video. That's not something typically we even try to do in this field. And so we try to let the witness tell their story and then present the video, or hopefully video and the data. So again, I think that's what we're seeing here. You can only take it at face value until you do a breakdown or a deep analysis on your own. And, that's what we're all here for, but we are here to talk about it. So when I see these good ones, I like to dig them out. And that MUFON has hundreds and hundreds daily. And that's just from this country and from the people that know about MUFON. So we know Mexico has a much simpler reporting system, and I think Jaime actually has a direct phone number and a website where you can report to. And so, accessibility for people to get their stories out and their images out, I think, is majorly important. So they're not just desperate to use YouTube and Twitter as their resource for getting out information, because you can just be bombarded by public there, can't you?
Well, I mean, let's face it, YouTube is such a great resource for UFO videos.
LOL.
Right? I don't know if we can take it seriously. I would like to. It's a nice photograph. I wish I had the tech to look in on it. I'm not saying it's a hubcap, but that low over a street view. And the one thing that I noticed about the photograph, if you hadn't, it looks like the customer or the person who shot the photo was actually bending down to try and make it look like it was higher.
I didn't get that from that, but I mean, maybe it was a smaller person, or maybe, who knows, but you could be right. Maybe it was set up and this is a fake. Absolutely. But again, this is a big claim, coming from Jaime, that this is the best close-up photograph of a potential UFO. So, the fact that it is that close up is going to absolutely draw scrutiny, as some images recently have. I mean, I think the fact that, you are bringing these things out for people to scrutinize, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Let us dig it out and figure out what's real and what isn't. And, a lot of people do have images out there that they think are legit. And sometimes it takes an expert to explain that it's a weather phenomenon or potentially something else. So it's good stuff. Not everyone is a debunker just because they're skeptical. You know, there's
I
definitely
agree,
a
Tim.
difference.
All right. You wanted
You
to
don't
talk
want to do it.
You wanted to talk dinosaurs. You go.
Well, I've got a
Now, let me-
backup. If you really want to talk about James Webb images, we can talk about James Webb images.
No,
My backup.
I'm
Yeah.
teasing a little.
Very excitingly, there is massive amounts of discoveries being made across the planet of dinosaur bones. And it is literally part of a result of receding water lines, drier lake beds, glaciers that are melting, and things like that. And so, in particular, we've seen in Portugal recently, paleontologists uncovered vertebrae and ribs from an enormous sauropod considered to be potentially one of the largest of its kind ever discovered. And so this is an 80-foot to 82-foot long dinosaur. And scientists are saying that this could be the largest specimen ever discovered in Europe. And so the next specimen that we found in the news is coming from Canada. And so a dinosaur fossil discovered in Canada could be a rare complete dinosaur skeleton, researchers say, that includes skin. So, I mean, this is kind of a massive find coming from Alberta, Canada. And so in the third, we have Africa coming up with the oldest dinosaur ever found in Zimbabwe. And so they discovered the remains of Africa's oldest dinosaur, which lived more than 230 million years ago. And so they're calling it the Mibrosaurus rathi. And this was about a meter tall and ran on two legs and had a long neck with jagged teeth. And then finally, a fourth and relatively incredible find comes from a high school teacher strolling with her dog near her home in Canada's Prince Edward Island when something caught her eye. And so she saw something about 2 feet long with a strange shape. And when she looked closer, she realized that it was the rib cage. And around that was surrounding it was a spine and even the skull. And so it turns out that the fossil is probably about 300 million years old and possibly from a species that no longer exists. And the paleontologists in Halifax, Nova Scotia, are considering that this is from before the Jurassic period when dinosaurs roamed the earth. So again, extremely increased number of dinosaurs' bones being discovered all over the planet. And I think the way we're seeing global warming, potentially global changes, it leads to these discoveries. Now, understand that these four were just over the past week. And so that's kind of why I brought it out, because it's just kind of like the news was bombarded by these massive discoveries that were of new species, largest species, and some of the best preserved species. It's definitely newsworthy, in my opinion. Sorry, Dave.
Well, I love the fact that, I'm going to say from now on, in the United States, Washington State. You don't get it, do you?
I don't. I'm lost.
My pet peeve. You know what my pet peeve is? And I love the Americans. You're American. I love you guys. Okay? But the way you always like up here, we never ever would say Los Angeles, United States of America. Yet you get Toronto, Canada, Montreal, Canada, Vancouver, Canada. We know your states. Pet peeve, man.
Oh, I got it. But your territory, so we got to be specific.
Well, province, your states.
Provinces, yep.
Yeah. Your states.
Provinces.
So here I am. I'm going to do that from now on. Yeah, we got a story coming out of
California, USA.
out of Texas, USA.
Hey, you got to be specific. And there's more than one Paris. There's a Paris, Texas, and there's a Paris in Europe. So,
and there is a Moscow in the United States.
Indeed. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But I'm glad to at least see that you allowed me to bring the topic to the table. And I mean, James Webb had some pretty cool stuff going on. We have a brand new, amazing exoplanet image that we have brand new. And it's a gaseous planet, right? So it's not inhabitable, but we are starting to get some great images. And so that's definitely exciting. Do you have an opinion on that?
I want to clarify. Yes, I want to clarify Tina's comment here. You need a passport to get into Canada. Yes, you do. You needed a passport to get into Canada since 2002. Why? I want you to hear me out on this because this is truth. A Republican senator, I believe, I forget her name, claimed that the bad guys on 9/11, and I got to make sure I don't say trigger words here. The bad guys on 9/11 came through the American-Canadian border, through Canada into the United States. So because they were allowed into the United States, Canada allowed terrorists into their country. Therefore, we need passports of all Canadian people before they come down. Now, if you've never crossed the border between Canada and the United States, it's not Canadian border guards who let people into the United States. It's American border guards. So here this person was trying to blame Canada for the bad guys crossing into the United States. Every time I've gone to the United States, I have to go through the American border with American security officers and border agents who do a fantastic job. So they made it mandatory for Canada and Canadians to have passports to crawl into the United States. And we called BS. So when the Canadian government responded and said, well, we need American people to have their passports to come into Canada, the American government went, whoa. We're neighbors here. What do you mean we need to have our citizens give passports to get into Canada? Well, you just did it to us. We'll drop it if you do. We're Canadian. We drop everything. We don't hold grudges. But it's stuck ever since. And now you have to have a COVID passport. But that's a whole different story that Dave isn't going to get into, because if there is a fall election in Canada, which we are hoping for, hopefully there will be a change and get that damn thing thrown out. Anyways, Timmy.
You say you're not political.
I am very political.
I've noticed.
Into a very political show. I choose not to, for the betterment of our topics and our countries and the way we belong. Yes, I could be very, very political. I just don't show it. I find politics fun, actually. But that's just me. Let's get to Shirky Poo's news.
What time is it? It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
All right, let's get right to it. Tim, you're going to like this one. All right? You're going to like this one. You know, as kids, we do some pretty stupid things, right? I think you would agree. A teenager lost his arm after subway surfing on a train in New York City. Yet, NYPD spokesperson said that the 15-year-old's arm, his left one, was severed and that he was transported to Bellevue Hospital in stable condition after officers responded to a call this past Monday around 10:30 in the morning. Yeah, a preliminary investigation determined that the male was struck by a northbound R train as it was pulling away from the station. The aided is not believed to be the victim of a crime. The investigation remains ongoing at this time, though. The New York Post reported the victim was trying to climb atop the train but fell onto the tracks. Oh my God, that's terrible. We know he was subway surfing on the outside of the car, a Metro Transportation Authority person said. Usually when you're subway surfing, you have to get off the train before the tunnel. He must have missed that point. The employee explained that the teenager's arm was severed from the elbow down and he appeared to be in shock. He was just looking around like nothing happened. He didn't cry or nothing. Riding outside of the subway cars is reckless and extremely dangerous, says MTA Chief Safety and Security Officer Pat Warden. This behavior can result in awful consequences and is likely has for this young man who is now disabled. All right, moving on. Here's a strange one. It's safe to say one DoorDash driver was not going to get a tip after he allegedly ate some customers' food. TikTok user The Suede Show, aka Funny Main Suede, posted a video showing a Wingstop delivery that had been eaten, along with a note from the driver admitting to consuming the chicken wings. I cannot make this up. Here I am ordering from Wingstop, and in my bag, I get this. Now, I know you noticed the fries are gone. My drink is intact. But again, my fries gone and this damn note. Yeah, the note said, I'm sorry I ate your food. I'm broke and hungry. Consider it like you're paying it forward. I'm quitting this lame-ass job anyway, spelled N-E way, and then be blessed. Capital B, and then blessed. Signed to your DoorDash guy. Well, at least he was polite. At least he was. And finally, looks like this idiot clown thing is coming back. Yeah, remember a couple years ago when it came out and everybody was trying to be the scary clown until some people started beating the crap out of them? Well, apparently it's coming back in the U.S. Hampton Pier. Yeah, be careful out there. These guys are a bunch of idiots. I hate those clowns. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgato, Facebook, Spreaker, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SMR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. Tim owns the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a paper. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Tim owns the night. Oh, little Timmy Seymour owning the night.
It's about time I get that. Mm-hmm.
Does your wife know about this?
About which part?
You owning the night?
She knows nothing. She doesn't even know I'm doing this show, probably. Who knows? Who knows? She's so disinterested.
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, she's busy, dude. So busy.
Oh, little Timmy Senor.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do you do it?
I mean, I'm doing like 4 different gigs. UFOs is just one, right? So she can't keep up with me the same way I can't keep up with her career. So, yeah, man. I tried. I know what she is doing though. I do stay up on what she's up to, but it's hard if you don't get into this topic. I get it. You just don't get it, right? And remember, everybody, she was not at that event that my family witnessed. She was back at the house in 2019 and didn't see the UFO that my family saw. So she doesn't get it. Anyways, this is
Don't
cool.
get it, man. You don't get it.
Dr. Evil. Oh, yeah. Definitely Dr.
For
Evil.
$1 million.
Such great stuff. And you know what the funny thing is? I'm adopted, and my family, my original adopted name before I became Tim Senior, I was born David Powers, right? So weird. And like I look like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. Who would have
I
thunk
think
it?
that's funny.
It is funny.
Your parents took an awesome name like Dave and
Another
said,
Dave.
no.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Don't get it.
I don't think they knew that I was a Dave when they bought me.
Where were you born? Were you?
New York.
Have you ever met your
New York? No, I only just recently did an Ancestry.com thing, and New York actually only just released all of the birth records for back in the 70s when I was born, about 2 years ago. So my wife actually did the research and found out my parents' name, but only my mother's name was available. So we know that.
Did you send her
so,
scratching wins for the holidays?
No, I haven't reached out to her yet, although I do have lots of family and friends that feel like I should, but
Do it on your
it's a tough one. Isn't it? As the adopted one, it's a tough call because you're like, there's so many potential outcomes.
But think about it this way, though. Don't think about it for yourself.
No,
think about it for
yeah.
What
my
if
kids, yeah. And also for my birth mother, she may be like stoked. Who knows?
She's like, oh my God, I gave birth to Howie Mandel.
Yeah, she'll be crushed. She'll be like, your career was so good in the 80s, and then just
why did you quit St. Elsewhere, Howie Mandel?
That's right. Oh, that was fun, wasn't it? Just put the glove back on.
St. Elsewhere, the original Grey's Anatomy.
That's right. That is right. Yeah.
I tell you, if I was a television doctor, I would never work at Grace Sloan Hospital because you're bound to die there, man. Within episodes, you ain't surviving to get there
or get cheated on.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so right. That's great stuff.
Gosh. Yeah.
Man, you have a really great crowd tonight.
They were awesome.
Fridays are fun.
Every show this week, I think the lowest numbers we've had were 236 live.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I'm blaming Carl Crusher for this.
Love Carl.
Because of the tips that he gave.
Yeah. New viewers, wider audience. I just talked to Carl earlier today. He's doing great. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I have a quick question before I leave you, and I'm sorry to do this in front of your audience, but it is a UFO question. So was the order of things starting with ATIP, then it went to the OUSDI, and then the UAP task force was formulated out of that?
For ATIP, that was first.
ATIP was first, and then the OUSDI.
Yeah.
And what was that formulated for exactly? I just don't understand what that office. So that's the Office of U.S. Department of Intelligence.
Yes.
How does that become a UAP task force?
They hire people and give them titles.
Okay. And I understand that the task force was potentially Travis Taylor, Elizondo Davis, Nolan, and then 38 other scientists. And, it makes you wonder, 38 other scientists. I hadn't heard that until recently. And even if they were just associated with the project, that's a lot of insiders and not a lot of leaks, right? Do you have any thoughts on the fact that there was 40 plus people within this UAPTF?
My only thought is each and every one of them have one thing in common. They are experiencers.
Potentially, if Travis Taylor has had an experience. Has he come out publicly and said that he has? I don't know.
No.
He went in as a hard skeptic or at least appeared to be, when he started with Skinwalker Ranch. And then once he joined the UAP task force, it seemed like his opinion flipped very quickly. And he started taking the topic very seriously on the ranch too. And I don't know whether it was because, and I don't know what it was, was it timed out because he got information, through his other job at UAPTF? Because I think visually between season 1 and season 2, people saw a dramatic change in that person's opinion. I don't know. I have a lot of questions on it. It makes me feel like there's information in that group that is not public that would be really juicy. To be a fly on the wall. Anyways, bud, it's been fun staying up later with you. Thank you, audience. It's 12:07 my time.
We'll see you Monday night.
I turn into a pumpkin here pretty quickly. Yeah, Monday night. Absolutely. That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Little Dinosaur, everybody.
Signing off, y'all. Thanks for listening and staying up later with me. It's been fun.
When we say little, we mean little.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, buddy. Take care, okay? Bye. Tim Senor, everyone. That's why we love him. Tim's a good dude. Very good dude. Where am I going here? Where am I going? There we go. Yep. What the hell is I doing here? I'm so tired I'm forgetting what I'm doing. You could be close there, Raz. Are we? Let's get rid of that. Sorry, I'm just doing some quick editing here, guys. There. No. There it is. I miss Sebastian Martin. He is one awesome dude. I have to get him on as a guest again. Besides flies hitting and moths hitting me in the head. Dave, can we tell the difference from UFOs and what is flying around and made us by going by what your sources told you? Believe everything is one of ours until it does something different. Then you can question whether or not it's ours. That's what basically he said. Oh, for God's sakes, just minimize already. Ah, darn it. And of course, Dave goes and screws it up. All right. SOR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to take a moment here. And we'll try and find the ostrich. All right, I got in crap during the break from my nephew that I wasn't on the air. He tuned on in and saw my empty chair. What do you want there, Stu? What do you want? Yeah, you better hit subscribe, you little bastard. That's all I'm saying. Where are you? All right. It's always empty. He's right. Okay, where's your UFO questions? That's what my nephew wants. He wants some woo. Bring your UFO questions. Any kind of questions, really. I don't care. Just bring them. Load these ones up. Oh, hey, I am back. You better hit subscribe, you little bastard. What is the meaning of life? I don't know. How do I grow a beautiful beard like yours? You need some German and Ukrainian in you. And you get fat cheeks. Nice. Hey, party friends, how y'all doing? I'm going to tell Grandpa to kick your ass for harassing me while I'm working. Because why don't I model the moose oil anymore? Because they transferred ownership and the other ownership never contacted me regarding sponsorship. That's why. When was your last experience? My last experience was a month ago. No, longer than that. Month and a half ago. That's where I saw the alien with the green eyes. That was kind of weird. YJ, do you believe the little saucer type UFOs are interstellar, or do they use a mothership like an aircraft carrier? I think they use the mothership like the aircraft carrier. Yeah, I do. And I think they send down these little craft, not Tic Tac things, but I think they send down these little craft to kind of go down and do what they want, whether it's little orbs or whether it's like the saucers or whatever. Yeah, that's what I think. But don't forget, people have said that they've seen these little orbs right before they've been taken, and they go into that little orb, and the place is like huge. It's like the size of a football stadium. So you got that thing going on. Pure Aussie Gold. Has there ever been a positive UFO contact? No, yeah, there's been lots. There's been a ton of them. Yeah, I mean, governmental wise, I don't know. But personal wise, of course. So we got to try and find that ostrich. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the damn ostrich for you. What do we got going on here? A couple of ugly wildebeests there. Hold on. Hey, I'm just about done editing, and then I'll call you. Okay? Give me like 10 minutes. Bye. Sorry about that. Somebody wants to talk UFOs right after the show. Got to do it because that's what I do. Apparently. Let's go to Tembe. What's happening in Tembe? Yeah, it's the same one. Hold on. Let's go to Tau. Trying to find the action here. Bear with me. Morocco. Anything happening there besides a commercial for mini wheats? No. Is there any consistency or pattern with alien abductions? I think it's individual, dude. Blue Cruise, I think it's individual on what people are based to experience. Where are the big UFO bases? I have no idea. Not here. I don't think they're here. Namibia's got nothing. Not even a damn ostrich. Let's go to Kruger. Kruger got anything happening? Nothing. That's a new one. They're putting up live cams all over the place. Rosie's Pan. Come on, give us something. Nope. Nothing. We got nothing at Rosie's Pan. Let's cross this out. Hold on. I got to start the other one here. Desktop. Hold on. I actually have to do work here for a quick second. All right. There we go. Boy, that was tiring. All right. These are done. Bear with me. Got that. Put that. Close that out. Put that up here. All right. There's got to be at least one bloody animal walking through Africa at this time. Tau's got nothing. Nothing. How terrible is this? I got family watching. All right, let's go back to this one. Nothing. No, I think all the animals took the long weekend off. I'm pretty sure they've taken the weekend off. That sucks. Question, is Bigfoot an alien, Earth life form, or interdimensional? I believe Bigfoot is interdimensional. Some sort of supernatural creature that could dip in and out of reality. That's why we haven't found a body. That's why people are claiming to see the predator pixelation in trees and running around the forest. That's why footprints just seem to leave, an end. I want to know how many beers in is my nephew right now. This is what my nephew looks like right here. Right there. This ugly thing. Yes, they use portals, Pure Aussie Gold, for sure. Totally use portals. That one can be closed. Don't forget this weekend, we got Jessica Jones off the trails and the after hours. I'm taking 2 weeks off after this, guys. 2 weeks off. So my next show will be 2 weeks from Monday. 2 weeks from Monday. I know. I'm going to try and figure out how to maybe do some evening reruns for you guys. Okay, I'll figure that part out. So that way you can hang out in the chat room and everything like that. I'm going to try. I'm not guaranteeing anything because I'm taking the time off work to take time off work. I'm not going to work while I'm taking time off work, if that makes any sense. But there's no one who could really fill me in right now. No, I was pointing at the gnome here. I don't even think my nephew's listening anymore. He's probably turned it off to go party with his buddies. That's okay. It's kind of cool that he stopped in, though. He's a good shit. He's like 6'2", 6'4", somewhere like that. He's like 230 pounds of muscle. Takes after... I'm going to be honest with you. His mom and dad are not attractive at all. He got all of his looks from his uncle. That's me. Not the emergency dink. The good uncle, which is me. It's true. True. All right. On that note, we're going to shut this thing down. Say goodnight to all of you. Don't forget, while I am off, the After Hours and Jessica Jones with the Cryptid Huntress, they will still be doing the weekends. So I'm just taking a good break, guys. I got to get some stuff done on the website. I need to get some stuff done behind the scenes for our radio stations. And you know what? It's all good. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thank you for the love and support of SOR. We'll make things happen. And I'll be back. When am I coming back? Hold on. Let me check my calendar. I will be back on the 19th. The 19th, which is a Monday. That's when I return. And we're going to have some kick-ass shows for you. And we'll make sure that we have our great lineup. Hopefully you're going to tinker with the audio. Our internet will get a little bit better. And when I hit 100,000 subscribers, then we'll do the cruise ship thing. Need 100,000 subscribers for that. We're a little short. But you guys have an amazing long weekend. And if you have kids, getting them ready for school after the long weekend, make sure you put them to bed early, damn it. Even though it's impossible. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.